Refusing to wed her twisted guardian, she chose a fatal plunge over a life of misery. On her wedding day, she jumped only to wake up as an 8-year-old trapped once again. This is Louise, a girl who spent her youth yearning for a father she never had. When her mother passed, a man named Benjamin stepped in, hiding his venom behind a smile. He claimed to save her, but instead, he locked her away in a gilded cage. Prisoner of the estate, Louise was forced to dress like the ghost of her dead mother. He dictated every meal, using violence to force-feed her the preferences of a dead woman. Every color she wore and even her very laughter were sculpted to satisfy his sick obsession. Staring into the mirror, his eyes would burn with a psychotic, delusional hunger for the past. As the years passed, Louise lost her identity, becoming a mere shadow in his twisted game. When Benjamin finally demanded marriage, the puppet decided to cut her own strings for good. Suicide was her only remaining freedom. On her wedding day, she chose to leave this world. But death didn't take her. Instead, she opened her eyes to the light of her childhood. Her mother stood there, alive and breathing. This was no dream, it was a miracle. Sobbing, Louise clung to her, terrified that this second chance would vanish into thin air. Her mother gently stroked her hair, asking if she'd just had a terrible nightmare. She drifted off in her mother's arms, only to wake and find the monster already there. Seeing Benjamin triggered a primal terror. Downstairs, the predator was already circling her mother. Benjamin pressured Leah to marry him, but she shut him down with a cold, sharp refusal. The mask slipped as he weaponized her debts, calling her ungrateful for his generosity. He left a chilling threat hanging in the air, forcing her to rethink his dark offer. Desperate to change fate, Louise tried to warn her mother about the horror awaiting them. But Leah brushed it off, convinced it was just the lingering trauma of a bad dream. She defended the villain, refusing to believe their benefactor could be such a heartless demon. Louise wept, feeling the cold realization that history was already beginning to repeat itself. Knowing the tragedy ahead while being powerless to stop it felt like a living hell. Days later, the village lord returned, playing the part of the perfect, caring gentleman. The world saw a saint, but Louise saw the devil lurking beneath that polished exterior. She couldn't stand to be in the same room as that disgusting, two-faced monster. She declared her hatred openly, but her mother dismissed it as a simple childhood tantrum. Powerless and ignored, Louise searched for any way to shatter this cycle of doom. Every plea fell on deaf ears, so she sought a new path to save them both. She headed to the church library, hoping knowledge would be her weapon against fate. In her past life, she was kept illiterate, a bird trapped in a cage of ignorance. Now every word was a struggle, but she refused to let her mind stay shackled. She needed logic to prove the future, hoping her mother would finally hear her warnings. Suddenly, a sickeningly familiar shadow fell over her. Benjamin had found her again. Nausea surged as he smiled. Louise stood up immediately, desperate to escape his presence. He scolded her for her rudeness, but she met his gaze with pure, unfiltered loathing. Taken aback by her glare, he tried to pat her head like a disobedient pet. His touch felt like cold, rotting sludge. The trauma of a lifetime screamed within her. She slapped his hand away, a defiant strike against the man who destroyed her soul. As she stormed off, his voice chased her like a curse through the quiet library. "Tell your mother to accept my proposal soon," he barked, his voice dripping with malice. Louise froze in horror. She would never lead her own mother into that pit of fire. Benjamin stands there fuming. That little brat. Once Leah agrees to the marriage, he's shipping this kid to boarding school immediately. If she didn't look exactly like Leah, he wouldn't show her a shred of kindness. But then he notices it. Something chills him to the bone. Louise's eyes just now. They looked exactly like his older brother's spilled blood. Panic sets in. While sprinting home, Louise takes a nasty spill. Suddenly, a concerned voice cuts through the air, asking if she's okay. It's Patrick. He rushes over with a worried look, asking why she seems so utterly crushed and downcast. Louise hesitates, a dark thought crossing her mind. What happens if Benjamin actually becomes my father, she asks, feeling sick. Patrick falls silent, reflecting on her words. He remembers how her northern accent sets her apart from everyone in this village. And even though she's no doctor, her herb knowledge is legendary. She can even predict the rain just by glancing at the sky. Rumors of witchcraft swirl among the villagers, but Patrick knows better. Leah is more devoted to her faith than anyone else. If a rumored witch becomes the Lord's wife, she'll become the ultimate laughingstock. The village won't let her live it down. Patrick sighs. Your mom worked so hard raising you alone. Having a father would make your life so much easier, Louise. Louise's eyes flash with determination. I'll be the one to protect her. That man will never be my father. Patrick just chuckles, handing her the book she's been dying to read. First, you've got to grow up a bit more, kiddo. Right on cue, Leah arrives to pick her up. Louise waves goodbye to Patrick and follows her mother back home. Once home, Leah reveals a hidden treasure, a brown gemstone badge with a black serpent coiled around it. This snake, Leah whispers softly, is the official crest of your father's noble family bloodline. It's the first time her mom has ever mentioned him. Louise only knew the village rumors that they were separated by death. Later at the market, they stumble upon a massive, heated crowd. People are swarming around a new notice on the wall. The decree is brutal. Regardless of gender, every single household must send one person for next week's wolf hunt. Both Leah and Louise are left reeling. A few days later, Benjamin crawls back once again, pressuring Leah to marry him. After another rejection, his face turns demonic. He growls that unless she marries him, he won't send any knights to help. Benjamin's spiteful move leaves the villagers terrified. Without knights, they'll have to face the deadly wolf pack with their bare hands. Naturally, the village turns their fury toward Leah. They believe her disrespect toward Benjamin is the reason they're all in danger. The hunt becomes a total bloodbath. When lives are lost, the villagers erupt, raining blows and bitter curses down upon Leah. From that moment on, Leah and Louise are treated like pariahs. They are completely isolated from the rest of the world. Shopkeepers refuse to sell them food. At church, people recoil as if they're the plague, even when Leah falls ill. The doctor refuses to treat her. Only Patrick stays loyal, secretly giving Louise herbs while she prays for her mother's recovery. Louise is drowning in powerlessness. Even after being reborn, she's still too weak to stop this tragedy from repeating itself. One day, Patrick brings more herbs. Leah coughs violently while trying to act strong, claiming she's feeling much better now. But Patrick sees the truth. She looks worse than ever. He glances around the house and sees stones littering the floor. The villagers have been smashing their windows. Patrick is disgusted by their cruelty, but he's powerless to stop the mob. He boards up the shattered glass, doing the little he can. Louise prepares the medicine, but after drinking it, Leah's coughing doesn't stop. Suddenly, she loses consciousness and collapses. No matter how much Louise screams, she won't wake up. Louise shakes her mother frantically, begging her to stay. She can't endure the pain of losing her mother all over again. Patrick needs to find a doctor fast, but he's terrified of leaving them alone. If Louise goes out, the villagers might attack. Suddenly, an idea hits him. He tells Louise to run and find Benjamin, the only one with the power to help. Louise has no choice but to sprint through the dark. In this nightmare, only her enemy has the power to save her mother. Tears blur her vision as she runs. She just wanted a peaceful life this time. Finally, she tracks Benjamin down. She falls to her knees, begging him to save her mother. But Benjamin just yawns. "I need my sleep. Go away." Patrick's desperate for a doctor, but leaving Louise and Leah unprotected feels like a death trap. He fears the hostile villagers might strike if she goes alone. Suddenly, a single name flashes through Patrick's mind, a literal lifeline. He barks at Louise to find Benjamin, and she sprints off into the night, her heart hammering. Only he can pull her mother back from the brink. Louise's eyes sting with tears, praying for the peaceful life they were promised. Pushing her body to the absolute limit, she finally tracks Benjamin down. She begs him to move, but his cold reply cuts deep. "I need sleep." Louise breaks down, sobbing that her mother's life is fading. "Fetch a doctor to my home this instant, or you'll regret it forever." Seeing her soul-crushing plea, Benjamin finally senses the suffocating weight of the situation. He immediately barks orders for a servant to find a physician. They rush back and the doctor dives into action. But after the diagnosis, he looks at Louise with pure pity, whispering that he's powerless to help. Hearing this, Louise's world collapses. Even after regressing, she couldn't save her mother. What was the point of this second life? She sobs, uncontrollably, begging her mother not to leave her behind. Lai forces a weak smile, stroking her hair. "Your father is still alive, Louise. You must go find him." Louise wails, refusing to let go as her mother's time runs out. Lai gazes at her daughter through tear-filled eyes. Desperate to stay, she whispers her final confession. "Louise, being your mother was my greatest happiness. I love you so much, my child." Then her hand falls limp. Louise's heart-shattering screams fill the air. She's lost her mother all over again. While the onlookers offer empty comforts, a shell-shocked Louise stands frozen in despair. Nearby, Benjamin can't hide his twisted smirk. Louise warned of regret. But how could that touch him? He stares at Lee's body with a chilling, obsessive madness. Drunk on the sick realization that she's finally his, he hides his insanity behind a mask of mourning. He turns to Louise, purring, "From today I am your guardian." Louise's eyes widen in pure, unadulterated horror. Just like her past life, the priest foolishly believes Benjamin is the perfect choice for her adoption. He thinks being the Lord's daughter will protect her, but Louise erupts in desperate protest. She refuses to be his prisoner again. "My father is still alive," she screams, rejecting his charity. Benjamin plays the concerned saint, trying to lure her back into his spiderweb. "You don't have to call me father. I just want to protect you." "Right, Louise." Louise's face twists in disgust. "No way I'm finding my father." Benjamin just treats her like a brat. He tells her to stop the tantrum. Louise throws herself into Patrick's arms, begging for a lifeline. But Patrick betrays her siding with Benjamin. He thinks she's just a grieving child acting out. Despair swallows her. No one believes her. No one cares what she actually wants. She truly believed the priest would be her savior. She was dead wrong. In this world, a child's voice carries no weight. When the priest tries to console her, she slaps his hand away. Benjamin seizes his chance. By law, he needs a witness to finalize the adoption. He looks at Patrick. Patrick reaches for the pen. Louise's heart stops. The trap is closing. "Don't do it, I don't want to be near him," but Patrick remains oblivious to the monster. He claims this is her best shot at survival. As he prepares to sign her life away, she whispers coldly, "If you sign that, I will despise you until the day I die." Patrick flinches, but the ink hits the paper anyway. Louise's hope is officially extinguished. Once again, she's nothing but a puppet. Even Patrick feels a sudden, chilling unease from the man. "Take care of her," he mutters. Benjamin nods, but his eyes are dark and predatory. The second Patrick's back is turned, a sinister grin splits his face. He clamps his hands on Louise. With a look of pure, unhinged ecstasy, he whispers, "At last, we are finally family." Soon, she's dragged into the carriage. As she weeps in silence, Benjamin's patience hits its limit. Her sobs only grow more violent. She stares at the window, calculating a desperate jump for freedom. Benjamin reads her mind. His hand shoots out, blocking her path with terrifying speed. "Stop crying," he commands, his voice like ice. A wicked, twisted smile grows on his face. Thinking of jumping, he pins her down, warning her to be a good little doll. "Don't expect me to ever let you go." Louise's head drops, her spirit seemingly crushed. In her last life, she was a pawn because she was ignorant. This time, everything is different. She won't sit and wait for the end. She will find her father, no matter the cost. This life won't be a repeat of the last. "Mother, give me strength to shatter this destiny." The next morning, Benjamin begins the cold, calculated arrangements for Lee's final farewell. The villagers gather to shed crocodile tears at the funeral, but to Louise, their mourning is nothing but a pathetic joke. If these hypocrites hadn't turned a cold shoulder when it mattered, her mother would still be breathing today. She gently smooths her mother's hair, whispering a final goodbye. Tears finally shatter her composure, failing even with a second life. "I couldn't protect you. I love you." Suddenly, a coat drapes over her shoulders. It's Benjamin, wearing a mask of faux concern. He warns her about the chill, but Louise snatches the garment off with pure vitriol. Every ounce of this tragedy is his fault. As the Lord, it was his sworn duty to dispatch knights and drive back the wolf pack terrorizing their home. Instead, he stood by and let the villagers paint her mother as the villain. Benjamin's lips curl into a sinister smirk. He leans in, tracing her forehead. And he mocks, "Fight all you want, but you won't survive a day without me." Louise shoves him back, screaming that she doesn't need his charity. Benjamin's grip tightens like iron, snarling at her to stop the nonsense. Sobbing, she begs him to let go, swearing she'll never forgive him. Fast forward a few days later. A maid reports to Benjamin that Louise has barricaded herself in her room, refusing to see a single soul all day. Benjamin plays the kind master, soothing the maid and offering to deliver dinner himself. She gushes over his saint-like patience. To the staff, he's a devoted guardian. They only hope Lady Louise recognizes his pure intentions before it's too late. The moment the door shuts, his mask slips. He barks at Louise to eat, but she remains motionless, staring away. She keeps her gaze fixed out the window, ghosting him completely. Enraged, Benjamin slams the tray onto the floor, demanding she eat. "Eat before it gets cold," he snarls. Louise grits her teeth, shooting him a look of pure mocking disdain. "Aren't you ashamed of this pathetic act? Ever since she was dragged here, her life has been a living hell." Benjamin is just as monstrous as in her past life. Her only freedom is a weekly trip to the church, otherwise she's a prisoner. She eyes the food, lifts her skirt, and ruthlessly grinds it into the floor while glaring daggers at him. "Eat it yourself," she spits. Benjamin's expression turns murderous before he finally storms out. He's in no rush. He has all the time in the world to break her spirit. That night, Louise tosses and turns sleep, remaining a distant dream. She must see the priest again. The next morning, under the maid's watchful eye, she finally arrives at the church. As they prepare to leave, Louise insists on one final prayer. The maid hesitates, then softens. Assuming Louise wants to repent for her attitude, the maid agrees, warning her to return to the carriage shortly. Louise bolts toward the sanctuary. Patrick greets her warmly, though the memory of her haunted, desperate eyes has been weighing on him. That lingering feeling of dread prompts him to ask how she's really holding up lately. Gasping for air, Louise blurts out that she has a secret. Patrick offers tea, but she frantically grabs his sleeve. There's no time. Every second counts as she exposes Benjamin's abuse, detailing how he treated her like an animal and threw her meal down. Patrick is stunned, finding the claims almost impossible to believe because of Benjamin's public reputation. She swears on her life it's the truth, breaking into tears. Her heart is terrified that her final lifeline will snap again. Patrick watches her in heavy silence. He had originally championed Benjamin's decision to adopt her as an act of mercy, but now he notices how gaunt she's become. Grief for her mother was expected, but this is far more extreme. She's wasting away. And then he catches a glimpse, shadowy bruises peeking out from beneath the fabric of her dress. He recalls Benjamin's chilling expression on the day of the adoption. It had sparked an unsettling feeling he couldn't name. Louise has no motive to lie. This dark reality must be why she treats Benjamin with such icy defiance. Patrick's silence feels like a death sentence. Fearing he doesn't believe her, she forces a hollow smile through her tears. She turns to leave, bidding him a final farewell. Patrick calls out to her, realizing the depth of her despair. "Forget everything I said," she whispers. Patrick reaches out to stop her, but as his hand nears her, she flinches violently. Patrick's heart shatters at the sight. In that moment, Louise finally collapses into uncontrollable sobs. She trembles, gasping that she can't endure it anymore. Patrick is hit with a tidal wave of crushing guilt. She's been through hell, and it's his fault for not seeing Benjamin's true face. He offers a sincere apology. "Louise, I'm so sorry for gambling with your life." Louise tentatively steps forward and takes his hand. A silent sign of forgiveness. Patrick asks about her next move, and her eyes ignite with a fierce resolve. "I must find my father," she declares, pulling out the locket her mother left her on her deathbed. This heirloom is the only key to her father's identity. Patrick vows to investigate the secret hidden within the silver. "Where's my father?" Only after hearing the answer does Louise finally exhale, her heart swelling with gratitude. Back at the manor, Benjamin tries to prod her about repentance. Louise stays cold, her eyes glued to her book without offering him a single glance. Zero remorse flickers in her darkened gaze. With a sinister smirk, he announces he's found her a school, a strict boarding facility, specifically designed for ungrateful brats like her. He vows to ship her off the moment spring arrives. Without waiting for her to process the threat, he storms out. Louise is left reeling, a cold dread washing over her. This timeline is diverging wildly from her past life. Panic sets in, she has to vanish before the spring thaw begins. Days later, a lead finally arrives from Patrick. He's managed to track down her father's secret location. They settle on a midnight escape, but out of nowhere, Benjamin forbids her from visiting her usual church again. He's chosen a massive cathedral instead. Louise freezes. Her secret meeting with Patrick is scheduled for tonight. When she dares to refuse the new church, Benjamin's face twists into a mask of rage. He dismisses every maid, sealing the room. His true feral nature explodes. He lunges at Louise, snarling about how she's suddenly grown the backbone to defy him. Louise fights back, claiming faith is found everywhere. Benjamin just sneers, reminding her that her freedom isn't her own. She refuses to budge. Benjamin barks an ultimatum: she either goes to the cathedral or stays locked in this room forever. He exits, the key glinting in his hand. Louise watches in horror, realizing he's actually going to imprison her. She sprints for the door, but Benjamin just chuckles darkly and slams the heavy wood shut, locking her in. She pounds against the door until her knuckles ache, but the house stays silent. Nobody is coming to help her. Her strength is useless against the lock. She suspects the maids are already posted outside like prison guards. Despair threatens to swallow her until she looks at the balcony. She steps out, gauging the lethal drop to the ground. Using her hands and even her teeth, she shreds her bedsheets into strips. Her fingers throb and swell with every tear. It's tonight or never. This is her final shot at freedom. As night falls, she swaps her dress for practical clothes. She dangles the makeshift rope over the edge. She makes a silent vow to stay quiet, no matter the pain. Vaulting over the railing, she prays that no wandering eyes catch her descent through the moonlight. She hits the ground hard. Despite the scrapes and bruises, she's relieved she didn't alert a single soul. Limping through the shadows, she makes it to the rendezvous. Patrick is already there, pacing nervously with their bags. Just as panic starts to set in, Louise finally emerges, her body covered in fresh wounds from the escape. Patrick gasps, asking what happened. She doesn't have a second to explain. They have to move before Benjamin notices she's gone. Every heartbeat counts. Seeing her struggle to walk, Patrick drops to one knee and gestures for her to climb on. Louise knows there's no time for pride. She offers a quick thank you and hops onto his back. A nun spots them and tries to call out, but Patrick ignores her, sprinting toward the edge of town. He shouts a distracted goodbye. The nun's voice trails after them, warning that Benjamin is already hunting them down. Louise's blood runs cold. She never expected the monster to realize they were gone so quickly. Patrick accelerates his pace. They reach a carriage just in time. Patrick commandeers the vehicle, promising the owner he'll leave it at the train station. He whips the horses, racing toward their only hope. But in the distance, the sound of thundering hooves approaches. Benjamin is gaining on them, his face twisted in a murderous snarl as he screams Louise's name. From the back of the carriage, Louise watches him with pure terror. She prays to God for a miracle to escape. At the station, Patrick tosses some coins and drags Louise toward the waiting train. A ticket inspector tries to bar their way. Patrick pushes past him, apologizing while shouting that it's a life-or-death emergency. The train begins its slow roll. Patrick's heart sinks as he hoists Louise up, chasing the accelerating iron giant. Louise glances back to see Benjamin on his horse, nearly level with them, reaching out with a predatory hand. They scramble aboard just as the train gains speed. Benjamin's furious roar about never letting her go fades into the wind. She collapses into Patrick's arms, her entire body shaking with the remnants of her fear. Patrick holds her tight, whispering comfort. The nightmare is finally behind them. After a long moment, Louise finally realizes she has actually escaped Benjamin's clutches. Patrick begins tending to her injuries. He finally sees Benjamin for the hypocritical monster he truly is. He apologizes through gritted teeth for ever allowing the adoption. Louise softly tells him that Benjamin's mask fooled everyone. The man's facade was perfect. Even so, Patrick's guilt is visible as he begs for her forgiveness one last time. His self-righteous crusade to save her only ends up shattering her world. Dismissing her voice because she's just a kid, he played God without her permission. "Hate me all you want, kid," he grunts. Lois's eyes well up, her heart finally wavering. A new bond forms between them. Softly, Lois whispers, "Patrick, are you all right? No tickets and time's up." The inspector looms over them like a shadow. Patrick spins a lie about a lost ticket, desperately offering to pay for a temporary pass. Inside, he's spiraling, terrified of being kicked off. But then a stroke of luck. The official grants the pass, but seeing Lois's bruises, he suggests moving to the sleeper car. He points out the girl's injuries, his stern face softening with unexpected kindness. Patrick nods in gratitude. As the sun rises, Lois looks up with weary eyes. "How far to Sylvester? Where's my father?" He just smiles. "Sleep first, little one." The road ahead is grueling. Exhausted, Lois finally collapses into a deep slumber. Patrick gently tucks her in, whispering a silent prayer for her safety. There's no straight shot to their goal. They've got to switch tracks at Fortuna Station. Lois lets out a sneeze, sparking instant worry in Patrick. "I'm okay," she insists. The biting chill is nothing like home. Patrick kneels, wrapping his own scarf around her. She gives a polite thank you, her eyes catching sight of beautiful lark charms nearby. "Loisette," she cries out. Patrick freezes, completely caught off guard by the name. "Did your mom call you that?" he asks. Lois nods, lost in a bittersweet memory. Her voice was like a bird's, she recalls. Suddenly a clerk snickers behind them. "Oh, a little Loisette. Just a hungry bird chirping for attention, are we?" Lois fires back a cold glare, calling out his trashy behavior right then and there. The clerk snaps, lunging toward her, but Patrick instantly steps in as her shield. The boy's got a sharp tongue. A voice rings out. A mysterious woman appears. She shuts down the clerk's nonsense. His face goes pale. Lady Ale. With a lethal smile, Lady Ale asks if bullying kids is his only talent. Ale catches Lois's eye with a wink. That name, it was in Benjamin's trash. She's the legendary head of her house, a woman knight of pure valor. Ale tears into the clerk, demanding he show some basic human decency. "This place welcomes foreigners. Your trashy attitude shames the entire empire." The clerk grovels for mercy, but Ale points at Lois. "Apologize to her." He bows low, begging for forgiveness. Lois shrinks back, unsure of what to do. She hides behind Patrick, offering a silent nod. Only then does Lady Ale depart. "Have a grand day," Ale calls out. Lois watches her go totally starstruck. A knight of the highest honor. She's Lois's ultimate hero. "Patrick, tell me, could I ever be like her?" Patrick grins. "Without a doubt, kid." Back at the station, disaster strikes. The train to Sylvester is completely stalled. The crowd is fuming, but Lois is drowning in panic. They have to move. If they stay, Benjamin will catch them. Suddenly, Lady Ale steps up to take control. She silences the chaos, demanding the railway staff explain the situation immediately. The line is dead, but she isn't taking no for an answer. Any spare trains? She has a massive contract to sign in Sylvester. The tracks are busted, they say. If we fix it now, a temporary train can roll out by sunrise. "Do it," Ale commands, throwing down her own gold to cover every single expense. "Announce it to everyone," she orders. The journey to Sylvester isn't over yet. The announcement ripples through the crowd, plunging the chaotic station into a sudden, expectant hush. Patrick exhales the heavy weight of waiting until daybreak, finally lifting off his weary shoulders. He suggests a quick rest at a nearby inn, and Louise agrees with a soft, tired smile. While he secures tickets, Louise finds no peace inside and steps out to settle her racing heart. The howling wind morphs into Benjamin's chilling snarl, sending a shiver of pure dread down her spine. She feels his shadow looming before a pair of hands reach out, running away. Louise Benjamin sneers. His eyes burn with malice as he demands she return home, causing her to crumble in terror. She clutches her head, chanting that it's all a nightmare. Benjamin isn't here. His horse could never outrun a locomotive. She's safe. She's okay. Or so she desperately hopes. A voice cuts through the fog. She turns to find Dame looking at her with genuine concern. Louise blinks back to reality. "The priest will be back soon," she murmurs, still trembling slightly. Hachiko bounds over, nudging Louise as a silent reminder of the manners she nearly forgot. Guilt stings her. She hadn't properly thanked Dame for saving her at the shop yesterday. "Thank you for everything," Louise says. Dame beams, gently ruffling the girl's hair with a soft touch. Dame asks if they're Sylvester-bound and offers a joint carriage. Patrick watches with a satisfied smirk. It's clear as day Dame has taken a real liking to the little one. Louise happily accepts. Their seats aren't together, but Dame waves it off. She's already booked the entire first-class section. Louise's jaw drops at such wealth. A single first-class ticket costs an absolute fortune. It's enough to feed a family for a week. They step into the carriage, leaving the world behind. Wandering inside, Louise is stunned. This cabin is literally more spacious than her old childhood home. After settling into the plush velvet, Dame summons Peter, her attendant, to serve some tea. Everything feels like a dream. This world of luxury is entirely foreign to her young eyes. Beside her, Patrick struggles to stay awake. Go to sleep, she urges, knowing he's completely exhausted. With Dame there, Patrick finally feels safe enough to lower his guard and head to rest. Now, it's just the two of them. Having napped all day, Louise is wide awake and buzzing. Curiosity wins out. "Why are you being so kind to me?" Louise asks, her voice small. Dame pauses, then gives a radiant smile. "Because you're absolutely precious and charming," she chirps. She mentions her son has a prickly personality, making her crave the company of sweet girls. Louise flushes at the praise, but Dame senses there's much more beneath that shy exterior. She hadn't missed the raw terror at the station, or the hidden scars marking the girl's skin. Louise speaks with wisdom beyond her years, her sharp eyes always scanning for danger. That's why she invited them. "So, little one, what brings you all the way to Sylvester?" Louise's face lights up like stars. "I'm going to find my father," she declares happily. Seeing Dame's confusion, she pulls out the necklace, the final gift from her mother's deathbed. They've never met, but this silver trinket is her only map. Dame suddenly pales. Her eyes widen in total disbelief. She examines the necklace, her fingers trembling as she confirms it. "Do you have any idea whose family crest is engraved on this?" Dame asks, voice low. Louise nods, recalling Patrick's words. "It belongs to the Imperator family of Sylvester," she says. "The legendary Sword and Queen House, the realm's sole dukedom." Louise knows the search will be grueling. She's braced for rejection. Even if he turns her away, she's ready to face the truth. The worst has already happened. She's already lost what mattered most. Dame smiles softly. "Fate works in mysterious ways," Dame says. "I think I can help you reach your goal." She explains she's heading to the Imperator estate for a contract and can take Louise along. Louise's heart soars. "What kind of contract are you signing?" she asks, wide-eyed with curiosity. Dame gives a cryptic, knowing look. "You'll find out soon enough," she answers mysteriously. Arriving at Sylvester, the world is a frozen wasteland of blinding white snow as they step off the train. Dame drapes a heavy coat over Louise to shield her from the bite. A carriage then whisks them toward the Imperial estate. Trapped in the carriage, Louise's heart races as anxiety claws at her chest. Suddenly, she spots the priest turning green from the high-speed travel. Despite her nerves, the sight is weirdly hilarious. Being just a kid, the motion doesn't even faze her. They soon pull up to a breathtaking noble manor. Philip the butler greets Dame with a bewildered stare, questioning why she's brought a tiny stowaway. Dame smirks, claiming Louise is a special gift for Alistair. Philip is completely lost by her game, but she refuses to spill her plans. She simply orders him to look after the guests, before rushing off to talk business with Alistair. Meanwhile, Philip ushers the group into the reception hall. Louise's eyes wander in awe. Outside, the wind howls, but inside feels like a warm spring day. It's the Monastone's legendary gems, worth twice as much as diamonds, yet they're everywhere here. The sheer luxury intimidates her, making her too scared to even take a seat. She wonders if someone like her truly belongs in a place this grand. Since she arrived, everything feels wrong. She can't imagine her mom working here, and braces herself for the worst. She tells Patrick that if her father rejects her, she'll just return the necklace and leave. Carrying noble treasures as a commoner is a death wish. Patrick asks what she'll do then. Her head drops as a fake smile hides her confusion. She honestly has no backup plan. Patrick's heart breaks for her. He gently promises that if things go south, she can stay with him. "I'm just a penniless old man, but we can survive together if you're willing." Tears prick her eyes at his kindness. She feels guilty for always dragging him into her messes, but his words bring a wave of peace. Patrick pats her head, telling her to just breathe. Sniffling, she whispers a thank you. Meanwhile, the business meeting between Dame and Alistair wraps up. Dame mentions the surprise she brought. Alistair is skeptical, wondering what kind of gift it could be. Dame points outside and suggests he see for himself. "I found the treasures you lost 8 long years ago." Intrigued and hopeful, Alistair rushes toward the hall. As he swings the door open, he freezes. A little girl with pink hair stands there. Louise trembles as Alistair's jaw drops. He slowly closes the distance, his eyes locked on her. Louise's heart hammers against her ribs in fear. Up close, the resemblance is terrifying. He looks exactly like Benjamin. What is he doing here? She grips Patrick's hand like a lifeline. He quickly whispers for her to stay calm and brave, and reassures her this isn't Benjamin. Taking a second look, Louise realizes he is slightly different, but his icy stare still makes her want to vanish. Alistair takes one more step toward her. Louise cowers as he whispers a single name, Leah. Philip stands back, his mind absolutely blown. He finally sees it. The girl's hair is a perfect match for Lady Leah's. Louise hides behind Patrick. Alistair is paralyzed. She's the spitting image of a young Leah. Sensing the tension, Patrick speaks up, explaining that Louise's mother left her a final memento before passing away. "She can prove it," he says, nodding for Louise to reveal the necklace. Mentioning Leah's death, leaves Alistair devastated. He already suspected she was Leah's, even though he'd sent Leah away for safety. Louise holds the heirloom with trembling hands. "My mother's name was Leah," she whispers. Alistair stares at the jewels in disbelief. Patrick adds that Leah arrived in their village 8 years ago pregnant. "She passed away recently," Patrick finishes. Alistair collapses into a silent, grief-stricken sob. Seeing his pain, Louise feels a sudden pull. Her hand reaches out instinctively to comfort him. She offers him her handkerchief, telling this powerful man not to cry in front of her. She fights her own terror just to help him, but her kindness only makes his tears fall faster. Like a torrential storm, he's back in the past, the day he sent Leah away. She had dried his tears just like this, saying they would meet again, and told him not to cry, but letting her go was his greatest regret. For her own protection, he had to send her far away. It was a heart-wrenching goodbye. Snapping back to reality, Alistair lifts his gaze. Alistair gives a solemn nod. Even though he's been prepping for this, he's still completely frozen. His eyes lock onto Louise. Tears start blurring his vision all over again. "This is his flesh and blood," Alistair whispers under his breath. "My absolute treasure." He reaches out and pulls Louise into a crushing embrace. But Louise is just standing there, totally lost. He finally lets go, touching her gently. He brushes her hair back. "Your name is Louise, right? It's a stunning name. This necklace, I'm the one who gave it to your mother. I believe I'm your father." He looks at her with eyes full of heavy regret. Louise stares back, shook by his sudden claim of being her dad. She honestly thought her father was just some servant. She never imagined he was actually the one and only Grand Duke of the entire kingdom. Finding out the truth, even Philip's eyes start to get all red from the emotional scene. But he's being stubborn, claiming there's just dust in his eyes. Dame tosses him a handkerchief. Even Patrick is low-key wiping away tears. Overwhelmed with emotion, Alistair pulls his daughter into another tight hug. But for Louise, confusion and anxiety are starting to take over. She's daydreamed about this reunion 1,000 times, but now, an inexplicable wave of terror is washing over her. Being in her father's arms feels like a total fever dream. Thinking about her mother who just passed, she's hit with a wave of grief. If they'd only met sooner, the three of them could have been a happy family forever. Alistair grips Louise like she's about to vanish. He's broken, begging for her forgiveness over and over. "Please forgive me. I am so sorry." Dame steps in and interrupts. "Duke, don't you think our little contract needs some major upgrades right about now?" Louise looks up, totally confused. Then she remembers Dame saying she came here to handle some business regarding a contract. Alistair shoots a stone-cold glare at Dame. That matter isn't settled yet. But Dame isn't fazed by his scary aura at all. She's only focused on securing the bag. "I brought your precious daughter back, so the terms of our deal have to change." She stays silent after that, watching everything play out exactly how she planned. She doesn't want to ruin their father-daughter moment, and gets ready to bounce. Meanwhile, Louise is dying to know what this contract is about. Dame doesn't hide it. Before leaving, she gives Louise a friendly wave. "Louise, next time we meet, you should probably call me." "Mom." Louise is frozen to the spot. With that bombshell, Dame struts away. All Louise can do is turn to her father for answers. What is she talking about? Alistair rubs his face in pure stress, having no clue how to even explain this mess. He finally tells her that Dame might actually become his wife soon. Instantly, Louise's face fills with worry. She wonders if she's just going to be a burden to this family. She just stares at her father, her mind going completely blank. Why didn't Dad just marry Mom back then? What did Mom even mean to him? Once Dame and her father tie the knot, she can already see the tragic fate waiting for her. Even if storybooks aren't always 100% facts, she's convinced it's true. She's seen enough to know the tropes: a cruel stepmother who treats her adopted daughter like trash, a ruthless older stepbrother who torments her, and a girl who slowly loses her place in the world. She's destined to live in loneliness and sorrow all over again. The more she thinks, the more her heart crumbles from fear. She's terrified of being kicked out and sent back to Benjamin. Suddenly, she looks at Alistair with a look of pure desperation. He asks her what's wrong, but she just stands there staring at her biological father, without saying a single word. Tears won't stop falling down her face. Suddenly, she hits the floor, falling to her knees with a thud. Alistair is absolutely devastated. Heartbroken, he cries out, asking what's happened. Catherine rushes over, desperate to help the poor girl up. Louise looks at Alistair and sobs. "I'll try my best to stay out of your way." She clenches her hands together. Looking at him like a drowning person grabbing a lifeline, she begs, "Take me anywhere, just please don't send me back there, please." Alistair's heart is literally breaking. How could he ever push his own daughter away? "No one here is taking you anywhere." His eyes burn with a protective rage, ready to fight anyone who tries to touch her. Once he calms down, he explains that the deal with Dame isn't finalized yet. If she has questions, he promises to explain everything. "So please just stay by my side." A tiny spark of hope finally appears in Louise's eyes. She asks, unsure if she can really stay. Alistair gives her the softest, most certain yes, knowing she won't be exiled. Louise finally lets go of all that tension, but then the world starts spinning and she begins to stumble. Just as she's about to hit the ground, Alistair catches her, checking her over in a total panic. He realizes she's just exhausted and fell asleep. He lets out a massive sigh of relief, but her desperate pleas still haunt him. He pulls her into a tighter hug. He can't help but wonder just what happened to her during those 8 missing years. Alistair gently tucks Louise in, but even in sleep, her brow is heavy with lingering nightmares. Seeing her distress tears at his heart, he silently signals Patrick to follow him out for a grim talk. He demands the truth about Leah's lost 8 years. He believed she was safe based on her letters. Patrick's confusion is a slap to the face. What letters? Alistair's world begins to crumble instantly. He had written to her, religiously receiving replies for years. But Patrick drops a devastating bombshell. Leah never saw a single letter. The realization hits Alistair like a freight train, as his expression darkens. He recalls those replies, short, cold updates that never once mentioned they had a secret daughter. Patrick voices the unthinkable. Someone was playing puppet master, faking Leah's identity from the shadows. Alistair's mind races through the suspects until a horrifying realization strikes him like lightning. Pure rage ignites in his eyes. It was you, my own brother. Years ago, he had tried to shield Leah from the bloody Imperator succession war. Little did he know his younger brother, Benjamin, had schemed his way into a branch family just to dodge the ducal crossfire. On the eve of the ceremony, Alistair handed his precious Leah to the only person he trusted. Succession battles are endless, and he fought like a demon to win a safe future for his queen. He dreamed of making her his official duchess. Instead, he slams the table, wood splintering under his fury. Grinding his teeth, he swears a silent, deadly oath. If Benjamin betrayed them, he is a dead man. Patrick hesitates before dropping another truth. Benjamin treated little Louise like garbage. Alistair's aura explodes. Hearing the agonizing details of his daughter's suffering, the Emperor loses all control. His fist shatters the window behind him, glass raining down like his shattered patience. He roars in fury. What else? Patrick confirms his suspicion that Benjamin intercepted every single message between the lovers. Guilt poisons Alistair's soul. He entrusted his life to a snake just to secure a crown. He restored the family's glory, but the cost was the absolute destruction of his personal world. He never knew a daughter existed. While he lived as royalty, she lived as a forgotten outcast. The Emperor's knuckles turn white. Patrick watches, trembling at the sheer weight of Alistair's terrifying rage. Forcing his emotions back, he asks about Louise. Patrick bows deeply, drowning in his own regret. He confesses his failure to see Benjamin's true colors before certifying those cursed guardianship papers. He feels responsible for almost ruining the girl's life, but Alistair doesn't cast any blame. He knows he's the one who never looked back. Instead, he feels a surge of profound gratitude. He's just thankful Patrick finally brought Louise home. Meanwhile, Louise's eyes flutter open. She wakes up in a room fit for a princess, totally disoriented by the sudden luxury. The opulence feels like a dream. Was finding her dad real? A soft knock breaks her trance. 2 maids enter. The lead maid, Letia, is practically vibrating with excitement. Are you Leah's girl? Without waiting, she pulls Louise into a sob-filled hug, marveling at her mother's signature hair color. Anna, the head maid, offers a gentle scold, reminding Letia to show the young lady proper respect. Louise's heart leaps at the mention of her mom. Letia beams. We were Leah's closest friends. After their warm introductions, a dazed Louise finally snaps to and scrambles out of the bed. She bows with heartbreaking politeness. I'm Louise. It's an honor to meet my mother's dear friends. Seeing her so well-mannered despite her trauma makes the maids' hearts absolutely melt into puddles. Breakfast is served, but as the cloche is lifted, Louise freezes at the sight of the meal. It's the exact cake her mother used to bake. A bittersweet lump forms in her throat. Chef Michao watches expectantly. One bite and Louise's world stops. The flavor is identical to her childhood. It tastes like home. Letia whispers that they've kept Leah's secret recipe alive all these years. Her mother's legacy. Louise's eyes well up as she asks about the recipe with shaky breath. It's a treasure the Emperor himself hasn't even tasted yet. That realization is the final straw. The dam finally breaks. Tears stream down her face as the worried maids rush to comfort her. Louise's heart aches for her mother. In the dead of night, a terrifying nightmare jolts her wide awake. Shadows loom in the massive room, fueling her fear. Usually she'd seek shelter in her mother's embrace. She used to drift off to the steady rhythm of her mom's heartbeat. Now, those precious nights are over. Her mother is gone forever. Suddenly, a familiar warmth envelops her as Alicia pulls her close. Everything is okay, Alicia whispers softly. Beside them, Anna and Lady Letia offer their own quiet comfort. We will protect you from everyone. The sudden kindness makes Louise's throat tighten with raw emotion. She manages a tearful thank you, her trembling voice shattering the maids' hearts. Finally, exhaustion wins. Louise drifts into a peaceful slumber. Outside, the soft patter of footsteps signals the twin brothers' arrival. They linger by the bed, mesmerized by her innocent sleeping face. She looks like a literal angel. They see no resemblance to their teacher. Karina can't resist reaching out to touch her soft hair. Louise stirs restlessly, nearly waking. Panicked, the twins scramble to vanish before she opens her eyes. They bolt from the room, but Kael crashes headfirst into a towering figure. It's Alistair. Seeing them near Louise's door, Alistair's expression turns cold and dangerously sharp. Sensing his rising fury, the twins offer a frantic goodbye and vanish down the hallway. Alistair rubs his temples, sighing deeply. Their mischief is endless should he just send them back. Philip is stunned to find the Duke standing guard. Your Grace, why stay out here? Alistair's answer is simple. He must watch over his daughter. Philip smirks, asking if he'll be a sentry every single night. Alistair nods. If he loses her, he could never face Leah, even in the afterlife. Memories of Leah flood back, his eyes shimmering with unshed tears and deep-seated grief. Noticing Philip's concerned gaze, he instantly masks his sorrow, regaining his usual cold composure. Philip gently reasons with him. He argues that Louise wouldn't want her first sight in the morning, to be an exhausted, sleep-deprived father. This finally forces Alistair to give in and rest. At dawn, Louise opens her door to find her father waiting, dressed impeccably and looking expectant. Alistair stands there awkwardly clearing his throat to ask if she'd join him for breakfast. Louise softly agrees, and the tension instantly leaves Alistair's shoulders. He's relieved she didn't refuse. He kneels gently, suggesting she change out of her pajamas. The morning sun begins to rise. In the golden light, Louise notices his eyes glowing like honey. She finds herself staring mesmerized. Is something wrong? Alistair asks nervously. Louise quickly shakes her head, her heart racing. She studies the man her mother loved. She's still too shy to say the word father. But his warmth has melted her fear. Looking into his eyes, she whispers, "They're very beautiful." Lettia arrives eager to dress the young lady but finds the Duke already there. Alistair instructs her to prepare Louise perfectly. He promises to wait outside and steps away. Before leaving, he flashes a rare, genuine smile, thanking her for the sweet compliment. Lettia transforms Louise into a doll. Staring at the mirror, Louise can't believe the princess is her. When Lettia leads her out, Alistair's breath catches at the sight of his stunning daughter. "You look lovely," he says, offering his hand. Louise beams, placing her small palm in his. As they head to the dining hall, Louise spots the priest and sprints toward him on tiny legs. Patrick's heart practically melts. He showers her with praise, noting how much healthier she looks. It's time for the meal. Everyone is in high spirits as they prepare to sit down. Alistair eagerly pulls out the chair right next to him, hoping Louise will sit there. Instead, Louise instinctively slides into the seat beside Patrick. Seeing her mistake, she freezes. Alistair's face falls, masked by a shadow of regret. The staff can't help but feel the rejection. Did His Grace just get snubbed, they wonder? Louise looks at her father, feeling a pang of guilt. She knows he's kind, but years of absence have built a wall she isn't ready to climb. Summoning her courage, she takes the first step. She quietly apologizes to the priest, who nods warmly. The household staff lets out a collective sigh of relief. Louise dashes toward her father with a beaming, radiant smile. "Mind if I sit here?" Alistair's cold gaze instantly softens into a tender, doting look as his lips twitch upward. "Of course," he replies warmly. Suddenly, the doors fly open. The twins have arrived to hijack the morning. They instantly swarm her with chaotic energy, introducing themselves in a loud, animated blur. Karina steps forward with a gentle vibe. She showers Louise with compliments, making the girl blush. Karina goes in for a hug while the other twin joins the fray. They're both hyped loudly, declaring that Louise is officially their favorite new playmate from now on. Louise gives a shy, polite introduction. Her dazzling smile is so pure that it leaves the duo completely stunned. They're shook, whispering about how she can be this insanely adorable, despite having a 16-year-old soul. Louise giggles internally, thinking that in reality, these two are actually the ones who are total cuties. Alistair barks at them to hurry up and eat. Louise watches him closely, noticing his own plate remains untouched. "Why aren't you eating?" she asks. Alistair's heart practically soars, knowing his daughter is actually worried about his health. He stammers that he's already full, wearing a rare, goofy grin. The staff is speechless at his sudden joy. The twins exchange shifty glances and start whispering. Louise watches them looking totally lost in the sauce. Alistair clocks their mischief immediately. He lets out a heavy, "here we go again," sigh of pure resignation. He drops the hammer, 10 extra laps daily, starting now. The twins are absolutely devastated by the sudden punishment. Alistair isn't budging, so they have no choice but to hustle to the field or face even worse consequences. It's training time. The twins give Louise a dramatic, tearful hug before trudging away to start their laps. Louise waves them off with a cheerful, "good luck," once the chaos finally subsides and they're gone. Alistair explains they're Count Adrian's sons, here to train under the family's elite knight program as young vassals. "Just ignore them," he advises, but Louise thinks they're sweet. Meanwhile, the servants are screaming internally. "Don't let the faces fool you, Lady Louise. They're literal spawns of chaos," the staff warns her silently. Alistair invites her to the garden, Leah adored. Louise glows, eager to see her mother's favorite sanctuary at last. She's desperate to see it. Philip warns them that even though the paths are paved in marble, the air is still biting. Louise bites her lip nervously, wondering if she's being a total burden to everyone. Maya jumps in, excited to style her in something cozy. Soon, Louise descends the stairs looking absolutely stunning. Alistair is floored when he sees her. He regains his composure and leads her toward the garden gates, but his long strides are way too fast. Louise struggles to keep up and gently tugs on his sleeve. "Hey, slow down," she pleads. Alistair freezes, caught off guard and totally stunned by her sudden touch. He's literally buffering, too shocked by the physical contact to speak. Snapping back to reality, he realizes his blunder. He apologizes and offers his hand properly this time. Louise slips hers in without a second thought. They stroll toward Leah's favorite spot. Outside the estate walls, the winter chill is absolutely brutal. But inside, it's eternal spring. Monastones radiate warmth as flowers bloom in a stunning riot of color. Now Louise gets it. This place is magical. Alistair gazes at the vibrant petals and whispers softly. This was her sanctuary, he breaths. He looks down at Louise. "Want to see them up close, sweetie?" Louise nods, eyes wide with wonder. Alistair scoops her up effortlessly, cradling her small frame against his chest. He's beaming with pride. Louise, caught off guard by the sudden lift, lets out a tiny, startled noise. A squeak of surprise, Alistair panics, instantly asking if he's holding her wrong or if she's uncomfortable. She blushes. "I'm fine. It's just, nobody has ever held me like this before," she admits shyly. He exhales in relief, low-key flexing that he's the very first one to carry her through this garden. Roses in every hue battle for attention as their sweet scent fills the air. Holding her tight, Alistair is hit with a wave of bittersweet nostalgia. If only Leah could see them together like this now. For a second, a vision of her mother flickers. If only their family could truly be whole again. Seeing the deep pain in his eyes, she gently tugs his collar to break the heavy, somber mood. "These roses match Mom's hair," she whispers softly, trying her best to chase away his dark clouds. "Dad," though it was just a breath, Alistair freezes his heart, nearly stopping in total disbelief. Overwhelmed with pure joy, he gently presses his forehead against hers. Right now, he truly feels like the luckiest. Dad alive. Beaming, he reaches out to pluck a soft pink rose for Louise. It is his very first floral gift to her, and she shyly thanks her father. They begin reminiscing about Leah, how she adored roses, and spent hours tending the castle gardens. Lost in these shared memories, their bond tightens with every word. As they take a peaceful break, Louise points toward a distant peak, curiously asking if that mountain belongs to their estate. Alistair's gaze sharpens, warning her never to wander there because a legendary dragon dwells within. Hearing of such a mythical beast, she feels a rush of fear and wonder. Suddenly, Alistair shifts the mood, mentioning the weight of the family's succession, declaring that every scrap of his wealth will one day be hers alone. Louise is stunned by his sudden vow. Processing the news, she speaks from the heart. "Forget the riches, I just want you to stay by my side, forever. That is more than enough." Alistair is blindsided by her selfless wish. Heart swelling with emotion, he pulls her into a tight embrace. "I promise I will never leave you." Louise leans into him. Though people say forever is impossible, she prays this vow lasts for eternity, determined to make his daughter feel safe. Alistair speaks with absolute gravity. "Even with the lost years between us, that void means nothing. You are my daughter, period." Seeing Philip approach, he realizes they have been out for ages, and prepares to head back only to find Louise weeping silently, haunted by visions of her past life, where Benjamin kept her caged like a prisoner. Louise finally breaks, sobbing loudly. If not for that monster, she could have found her birth father years ago. Alistair asks helplessly what happened. "Did you see something?" Philip rushes over as the tears continue to flood. Alistair gathers her close, gently stroking her back to soothe her. "Do not be afraid, I am right here." Wrapped in his love, her heart only aches. She nestles into her father's arms, her hatred burning for Benjamin, the man behind their tragedy. Haunted by her past, revealed by Patrick, Alistair tenderly brushes her tears away. Revenge must wait, but he silently vows that Benjamin's days are strictly numbered. Stroking her hair, he whispers, "I promised you everything and I'll do anything to keep it." Louise sobs, her eyes swirling with resentment and deep gratitude. As she finally calms down, Alistair takes her small hand, walking back with Philip, who finally breathes a sigh of relief. Louise bows with perfect grace, thanking them for the escort. Alistair offers a gentle smile, telling her to rest well, but suddenly she clutches his hand with a desperate grip, asking with raw vulnerability why he never searched for them and what Dame means to him. She refuses to live in a lie, wanting the truth over hollow comfort and lingering doubts. "I'll wait until you're ready," she says. Having spoken her mind, she prepares to leave. The word father is on her lips, yet she can't say it. She touches her mouth, frustrated. Why could she say it in the garden but not now? Alistair kneels, telling her not to force it. "Let's take it slow. We have plenty of time." After a warm pat on the head, he turns toward his office, immediately questioning Philip about the progress of the new room. Philip confirms it will be ready by tomorrow noon. Alistair's expression turns cold and serious. Use only the absolute best, even if you have to pillage the royal palace itself. His heart aches. Louise understands far too much for a child of her age. Philip nods, his worry mirrored. Lady Louise has truly suffered through hell. Remembering Mrs. Lai, he offers Alistair a comforting look. Your Grace, you have a long road ahead. Meanwhile, Louise is a nervous wreck, wondering if she overstepped with her questions. But she stands firm. Some things simply must be said to move forward. Despite her fear, she needs to know if he ever truly loved them. She will face the truth with courage. That afternoon, the maids arrive to cheer her up. Anna beams with excitement, announcing that her permanent room will be finished tomorrow. Louise is stunned, realizing she's currently staying in nothing more than a guest room. Lydia leans in, curious about what kind of aesthetic and decor the young lady prefers. Louise pauses, realizing she doesn't actually have any specific tastes. Letitia lists off options like colors and patterns, but Louise just feels awkward and out of place. With her mental age of 16, all this childish talk feels totally out of her element. Anna silently notes her mature preference to inform Philip. Then, Letitia asks about her hobbies. Louise mentions her love for reading, her eyes lighting up with hope. Lydia claps with joy. Of course, the Emperor's library is legendary. They quickly lead her to the massive study. Louise gasps at the sight, a sea of gold and leather-bound knowledge stretching before her. She's never seen a room so massive, and soon she's completely lost in a book. Meanwhile, Alistair can't stop thinking of her. He heads to the study only to hear a scream. He charges inside, heart racing, but the scene is far from what he expected. Louise is holding a snake, her face calm and curious rather than terrified. He realizes it's just a high-quality toy. Louise giggles, admitting she was spooked at first. It looked so real, she laughs, having quickly recovered from the prank. Alistair sighs, a headache forming. He knows exactly who the culprits are, Karina and Carl. Philip and Anna share his exhaustion, certain the twins are behind this little stunt. Naturally, Alistair scoops his daughter up to carry her back to safety. He orders Philip to purge every single prank the twins left behind. He won't let anyone scare his precious daughter during dinner, not on his watch. Louise senses a shift in the air as the priest's heavy sighs fill the silence. She secretly suspects his heart is heavy over the church he leads so devotedly. Guilt gnaws at her. He risked everything for her escape. She desperately wants him to stay. But she lacks the right to ask. Beside her, Alistair instantly deciphers her unspoken turmoil. He offers Patrick a place to stay, revealing a vacant post within the Empire's holy walls. Louise's face beams with pure joy, realizing the priest might not have to vanish. Fear of Benjamin's wrath lingers. Patrick hesitates, needing time to reflect, which crushes her spirit. Patrick's soul yearns to stay, and witness Louise blossom into the church's future guardian. Yet duty calls. He can't forget the agonizing suffering Louise endured because of his past failure. Is he even worthy to remain by her side? Alistair reads his doubt and offers reassurance. He urges him to cast aside his worries, leaving the ultimate choice in Patrick's hands. Suddenly, Louise notices her father's plate remains untouched. He hasn't eaten a single morsel. It hits her throughout all these days she hasn't seen him swallow even a bite after dinner. She pulls Philip aside, whispering her concern. Philip's expression turns instantly grave and troubled. He admits there's a reason, but refuses to divulge the secret. Louise reluctantly backs down. No disappointment here. She expected his silence. As long as her father isn't ill, she's content. Alistair escorts Louise back, proudly revealing his status as the legendary captain of the Elnora Knights. They are the Queen's ultimate blade. He offers her a front-row seat to his elite swordsmanship. Louise's eyes widen in sheer awe. She never dreamed her father held such immense power. The commander of the Elnora Knights, she imagines how breathtakingly cool he looks in full armor. Alistair basks in her admiration, warning her that the servants will be swamped tomorrow. They're prepping her new room, so he urges her to stay safe and not wander off. Nestled in his warmth, Louise drifts into slumber. Alistair smiles softly at her peaceful, tired face. He gently tucks her in his hand, lingering as he caresses her sleeping angelic face. With a soft forehead kiss, he whispers sweet dreams to his daughter. Morning arrives. Amidst the room makeover chaos, Anna strictly warns Louise to steer clear of any dangerous areas. She agrees with a bright smile, but suddenly the mischievous twins materialize right behind her. They flash Anna a grin, telling her to relax, though that only makes Anna's anxiety skyrocket. They wrap Louise in a playful embrace, promising Anna they'll be her ultimate protectors. Anna warns them no tree climbing or skating on that frozen lake. Just play nice. Fed up with the nagging, the twins quickly hustle Louise right out of the room. Buzzing with curiosity, they grill her about yesterday's chat. Louise leads them to a quiet courtyard. She reveals her father shared stories of her mother, making them realize she's passed away. They draw close in supportive silence, and Louise is deeply touched by their heartfelt warmth. Carl admits their own mother died at their birth, so they truly feel her pain. Louise realizes that beneath their mischief lies pure kindness. She notices she's still being overly formal. The twins remind her as the master's daughter, she is essentially an imperial princess now. Her bloodline is the one their family has sworn to serve for countless generations. Once they come of age, they'll pledge eternal loyalty. Suddenly, they drop to their knees. Kneeling before Louise, they kiss her hand, insisting on addressing her with proper royal formality. Louise vows to change, hoping they can be real friends, something she's never truly had. Haunted by the bullying in her old village, she prays they'll be her first true bond. The twins enthusiastically agree, but their moment is cut short by a maid's summons. It's training time. They promise to finish their chat later, though. Leaving her alone worries them. Fearing she might get lost, the twins scoop her up and sprint back to her room. A cold sweat drips down Louise's neck as she realizes something shocking. She hasn't walked a single step since returning home. Whenever Alistair is around, he carries her like a fragile treasure. Even the twins are starting to treat her like royalty now. Later that afternoon, Anna leads her to see her newly decorated sanctuary. As she steps inside, Louise gasps in pure awe. The room is the definition of opulence and luxury. Alistair enters his eyes, searching hers desperately, hoping for her approval. She nods vigorously, her eyes sparkling with joy. She loves it so much it's almost overwhelming. This life feels like a total dream come true. Alistair tenderly brushes her hair, his heart swelling with happiness. But suddenly, a shadow of deep hesitation flickers across his face. He shoots a sharp look at Patrick, signaling him to speak. Louise watches them, her mind racing with confusion. What are they hiding from her? Then, the bombshell drops. Patrick is leaving immediately. He looks devastated, wishing he could stay, but the weight of reality is far too heavy. The threat of Benjamin looming over them is far too dangerous. Before returning to his old church, Patrick gently reaches out to comfort Louise. He whispers for her not to be sad, promising that fate will reunite them. He reminds her to stay healthy and obey her father until they meet again. Tears stream down Louise's face as she begs him to stay. She's absolutely terrified of Benjamin's malice and can't handle losing anyone else. The fear of more tragedy lurking around the corner grips her heart. She truly doesn't want to say goodbye to another person she loves. Patrick pulls her into a warm, reassuring embrace. I promise I'll return safely. Louise can only watch helplessly as his carriage fades into the distance. As the carriage vanishes, a crushing sense of powerlessness washes over her. Alistair quickly sweeps her up, trying to mend her broken heart. He whispers soothing words, revealing a secret. Despite Patrick's refusal, Alistair already dispatched elite knights to shadow him from the darkness. If anything goes wrong, we'll know instantly. Finally, a small smile breaks through Louise's tears as her heavy worries begin to melt away. Alistair gently strokes her hair, ready to escort her back. He just wants his precious princess to feel safe and sound in her room. Not wanting to be alone, she shyly suggests staying in his office instead. She just needs to be near him right now. Alistair immediately agrees, but soon boredom starts to set in. Louise stares blankly, terrified of interrupting his mountain of intense paperwork. She finally suggests a walk to clear her head. Alistair instantly stands up, worried she'll get lost, but Louise quickly stops him. I won't go far, I promise, she insists. She just needs a quiet moment alone to process her swirling emotions. Alistair senses her lingering sadness over Patrick's departure. He knows she needs some space to heal her melancholy heart after such a goodbye. He reluctantly gives in, warning her to be extremely careful once she steps out of the safety of his office. Louise tries to find the garden from before, but the path twists and turns. Panic sets in. She's completely lost. Back at the office, Alistair finds out. When Alistair hears his daughter is missing, his fury explodes. He commands Philip to mobilize every single knight to find her immediately. His face contorts with a terrifying, uncontrollable rage. He already lost his wife to the shadows. He will not lose his daughter, too. Meanwhile, Louise is wandering through a desolate, unknown place. Every direction looks the same, and the eerie silence is deafening. What started as a simple stroll turned into a nightmare. She's trapped between jagged mountains and endless looming forests with no way out. She's been walking for hours with no exit in sight. As the sun dips below the horizon, true terror begins to sink in. The trail feels infinite. Collapsing onto a jagged rock, she silently curses herself for being such a burden to everyone around her. Dad is going to be so worried again, she sobs. In the blink of an eye, the world is swallowed by total darkness. She scrambles to her feet, desperate to find a way out before the night becomes completely pitch black and freezing. The biting chill begins to seep through her thin clothes. Determined to survive, she screams into the void, hoping someone hears her. Is anyone there? Help me. Only a haunting silence answers, until a chilling rustle echoes from the deep, dark woods. Her voice trembles as she calls out to the shadows. Silence. Shaking, she grabs a fallen branch, ready to defend herself from the unknown. Who's there? Show yourself, she shouts bravely. Still nothing. Just as she wonders if it was her imagination, something shifts behind her. A sudden commotion erupts. A massive wolf emerges from the brush, and Louise collapses, her heart stopping in pure, paralyzing fear. Her legs turn to jelly, refusing to stand. She's frozen on the ground, watching the predator eye its next meal. Her entire body shakes violently as the wolf inches closer. With a sudden burst of speed, it lunges straight at her. Louise braces for the end, but the pain never comes. She peeks open her eyes to find the wolf nuzzling her affectionately. This isn't a wild beast, it's a pet. She notices a shimmering tag around its neck. Its name is Lena. Relief washes over her. Louise reaches out a shaking hand, and Lena leans into her touch with gentle, loyal obedience. "Can you take me home?" she whispers. Lena seems to understand perfectly, nodding her head as if to guide her back. Louise tries to walk, but her frozen legs give out. Seeing her struggle, Lena immediately crouches down, offering her back for a ride. Lena takes off with Louise clinging tight. Suddenly, the wolf stops. Faint, anxious shouts begin to echo through the trees. A familiar voice calls her name repeatedly. Tears overflow. It's her father. He's finally found his little girl in the dark. Leaping off the wolf's back, she bolts toward the voice, screaming "Father" at the top of her lungs. Lena follows close behind, howling to signal their location. Louise reaches a dense thicket, and just as she pushes through, Alistair charges forward first. Finally reunited with his precious daughter, his eyes glisten with unshed tears. Shimmering with raw, fragile emotion, Louise's own eyes overflow. She's never seen her father look this broken. Seeing his agony, guilt stabs at her heart. She immediately blubbers out apologies for her reckless behavior. Alistair stares, paralyzed by the fear that she's just a hallucination. He closes the distance and pulls her into a crushing embrace, anchoring himself in the reality of her presence. "Thank God," he rasps. "Thank God you're safe." Louise sobs, buried in his chest, repeatedly begging for forgiveness. Alistair just holds her tighter, telling her to stop blaming herself. "There is no need for apologies. You did nothing wrong. Don't be afraid. You're safe now." Back at the manor, the staff erupts into a frenzy of activity. Philip barks orders at Anna to warm up Louise's chambers and fetch hot soup. Meanwhile, Alistair refuses to leave his daughter's side for even a second. Tucking her into bed, Louise drifts into a fitful slumber, her brow furrowed by the onset of dark nightmares. In her dream, Louise witnesses her late mother and gasps in disbelief. Tears of joy well up. God finally answered her prayers, allowing her mother to return. She gazes at her with wide, star-struck eyes, but her mother's gaze is icy and distant. Panic rises as her mother suddenly seizes her shoulders. With a terrifying snarl, screaming, "Louise, have you forgotten that you are the one who killed me?" Guilt and soul-crushing regret flood Louise's mind. It is true she let her mother die when she had the power to save her. Yet she chose to do nothing. She desperately wants to bury the past in this cozy life where she is finally loved. But how could she just move on? How can she treat that horrific tragedy as if it were just a distant memory? How can she dare to smile? Louise looks at her mother with profound sorrow, realizing this is merely a cruel hallucination. Even if her dream mother loathes her, she doesn't want to wake up. She keeps sobbing, pleading for her mother's forgiveness. Just seeing her face again is a bittersweet blessing. She prays with all her might that this vision won't fade away too soon. Her mother freezes, then twists her face into a wicked smirk. "In that case, it is better if I vanish from your sight forever." Louise panics, lunging to grab her mother's hand, but she evaporates into mist. She jolts awake, heart hammering. Seeing her father standing guard makes the guilt even heavier. She flings herself into his arms, sobbing about the nightmare. Her voice cracks as she confesses she doesn't deserve joy. "Mother died because of me. I have no right to be happy." Hearing this, Alistair's heart shatters for her. He quickly reassures her that Leah would never hold such a grudge, but Louise insists her mother was full of blame. Alistair looks her in the eye and declares that HE is the one to blame. It is all on him for failing to find Leah sooner. Back then, the inheritance ritual transformed him into a literal human-monster hybrid, causing him to slaughter many as he lost his sanity. If not for one final stroke of luck, he would still be a complete monster. That is why he hid his dark, blood-stained past from both Leah and Louise. But his silence ultimately cost him Leah's life. Alistair holds Louise tight, begging her to stop the self-hatred. "Louise, you are innocent. All that matters is that you are here, safe and sound in my arms." Tears stream down her face like a storm, but the heavy burden on her soul finally starts to lift. Exhaustion takes over and she falls asleep. Watching her, Alistair is haunted by Leah's memory. He misses her terribly. He should have protected Leah from the start. He lies down beside Louise, a silent guardian whispering her name in the dark. "I wish I could take all your pain upon myself." Thinking of his lost love, a new resolve ignites within him. "Leah, don't worry. I swear to protect our daughter." By morning, Alistair has already slipped away, leaving Louise alone. A hollow sense of loneliness washes over her, but it is quickly interrupted as the twins burst through her door. They swarm her with chaotic energy, shouting about how much they missed her. Even suggesting they all have a giant sleepover, Louise giggles, thinking that actually sounds like a total blast. Suddenly, Alistair looms in the doorway with a terrifyingly stern face, demanding to know why they aren't training. The twins freeze in pure terror at the sight of him. They stammer out to Alistair that they finished their drills and worked super hard. Alistair just sighs, feeling a massive headache coming on. Alistair was low-key jealous. He wanted Louise all to himself in the office, but seeing her bond with the twins changed his mind. He figured Louise would vibe better with kids her own age, so he let the twins drag her off to play. He whispered a warning to Louise, "Tell me if they bother you." She nodded sweetly, and he headed out. The twins were shook. They'd never seen their master look so soft. With that final look, Alistair vanished. Anna paused the chaos, telling the twins to chill for a sec, while she got Louise changed. They hated being away from her for even a minute, but since she was still in pajamas, they agreed to wait. Just as they were losing their minds from waiting, Louise stepped out. One look at her, and they were completely stunned. Over the next few days, they hit up every cool spot, helping her master the castle's massive layout. It was her first time actually having fun with peers. One morning, right after waking up, Louise headed to the courtyard but slammed right into a boy in the hallway. The impact sent her tumbling down. She had no clue this black-haired boy was her future big brother. He frowned, looking totally annoyed. "Don't you know how to apologize?" he snapped. Louise just looked up, wondering who this random kid was. Seeing his glare, she panicked and started bowing her head. The boy sighed, reaching out a hand to help. Louise stared at his hand, confused, before finally grabbing it. Once she was back on her feet, he coldly asked if she was hurt. Once he knew she was fine, he turned to leave without a second thought. Louise shouted a thank you after him. He paused, his expression softening slightly as he watched her go. She wondered about his identity. Apparently VIPs were visiting today, which, suspecting the boy as a guest, Louise sprints to find her father and demand answers. Bursting into the office, she spots a strange woman on the sofa, who greets her with overwhelming energy. A wave of dread washes over Louise as the woman confirms her identity, claiming the contract just got better. Perfectly balanced for both sides, she chirps as a confused. Louise asks, "Wait, what contract?" Deep down, she already knows the answer, but her heart refuses to accept it, so she plays dumb. Just as she feared the woman drops the bomb, she and Alistair are getting hitched next spring. Her worst nightmare is coming true. Louise hangs her head, her face a mask of pure anxiety. Thinking of the mother from her dreams, her heart sinks into the abyss, yet she forces a smile. Clueless to her distress, the lady reveals she's only there to bond with her future daughter. Before she officially becomes Louise's new mom, the young girl grips her father's hand with a deathly squeeze. After a heavy silence, she whispers a hollow congrats. Alistair senses something is wrong and begins to speak. Suddenly, the door swings open. It's the same black-haired boy Louise literally just crashed into. The lady introduces Eric as her son and Louise's future brother. Eric looks completely shook by her identity. The lady pulls Louise into a proud hug, asking Eric if she isn't. Super cute, Eric nods, admitting she's genuinely adorable, while Louise feels like she's totally spiraling. Her knuckles turn white as she grips her father. Sensing her panic, Alistair offers a comforting squeeze. He promises to explain the deal later, while the lady insists on some private business talk with him. She hands the kids a fat check and tells them to go wild, giving Eric a special order. His mission, protect Louise, and spend every single cent today. The two obediently head out. Eric's heart is racing. Having a sudden super cute little sister is giving him major nerves right now. He's totally kicking himself for making such a terrible first impression on her earlier. Calling her name, he gives a deep, sincere bow. Louise frantically waves her hands, signaling it's okay. With the drama finally settled, their chemistry is peaking. Eric grabs her hand, ready to whisk her away for some fun. Clutching the mysterious check, Louise timidly asks how to spend it, completely overwhelmed by its massive unknown value. Just as they brainstorm their shopping spree in Sylvester, a familiar voice suddenly calls out, stopping them in their tracks. It's Karina and Carl. They claim to know every local shop, but Eric's gut says nothing good ever follows them. He tries to steer Louise away from the duo's bad vibes, but she playfully pulls him back, wanting the company. Louise is hyped to hang with the twins. Eric is low-key miserable, but one sweet call from her makes him fold. Big brother Louise caves instantly. Internally, she's cringing because in her past life she was 16. Calling someone younger brother feels totally awkward and weird to her. The squad heads out in high spirits. Meanwhile, back at the office, Dame and Alistair are discussing Louise. She admits she doesn't expect the girl to call her mom. Their relationship is strictly professional. She never intended to replace Leah's memory. Alistair gets serious. You say that, yet you played the mother role so naturally. Dame bristles, asking why he hasn't cleared the air with Louise yet. She refuses to be despised. He needs to explain their cooperation immediately. She understands Louise's pain, traveling so far to find a father, only to see he's marrying another woman. It's a lot to process. Plus, Dame's earlier mean girl act was totally calculated to make Louise resent her. Now Louise's forced smile haunts her. That congratulations felt like a knife. Dame curses herself for being so cold. She warns Alistair that Louise is fragile. He needs to speak with total sincerity. Do it now, she urges, but Alistair just frowns, terrified his daughter will hate him. Meanwhile, the kids are out. The twins excitedly ask Louise where she wants to go. Louise smiles down for whatever they suggest. First, they need to refuel. They head to a restaurant to fill their stomachs before the real fun begins. This is Louise's first time at a restaurant. When she sees the menu, her eyes nearly pop out. She hands over the massive check Dame gave her. The total is astronomical, but the staff recognizes Eric the Eisler heir immediately. He tells them to put it on his tab. The owner is just honored they visited. Next, stop the mall and the skating rink on the top floor. Carl mentions that Dame actually owns this entire massive building. Louise realizes that check in her pocket probably won't get spent today. She has a gut feeling her money is useless in Dame's kingdom. The twins dash ahead, shouting for them to hurry before they cause a scene. Eric and Louise pick up the pace. Suddenly, Louise crashes into a mysterious boy in a cloak. She loses her balance, nearly hitting the pavement. He catches her with one hand. After she steadies herself, Louise thanks him politely. Before they can talk, Eric arrives. The white-haired boy clearly wants to stay hidden. He bids her a quick goodbye and vanishes. Once he's far enough away, he tosses his cloak. A knight asks, "Your Highness Idris, are you okay?" Idris ignores him, curious why Sylvester has noble children he's never met. He noticed her fine silk and rare jewels. Those weren't common accessories. Rumors about the Duke's secret daughter start swirling in his head. He can't confirm it yet, but he's intrigued. His knight urges him to catch their train. Idris refuses. He's staying. He has to find out who that girl really is. The knights are panicking. They've essentially escaped the palace, and discovery would be fatal. Idris just shrugs it off. Soon the kids arrive at the ice rink. Eric takes Louise's hand to teach her. Then he asks the million-dollar question. Are you really okay with us becoming family? He knows she's been hurting. Louise freezes. She isn't sure. Dame is actually pretty cool and helped her. Dame is impressive, and even the boy they just met seemed kind. They are all good people. But even so, she can't bear seeing Dame standing next to her father. That title belonged to her mother alone. The thought of another woman usurping the Duchess of Silverton's throne made her skin crawl. But if the contract was already in motion before her arrival, it wouldn't simply vanish. Worse, she feared her father's rejection would send her back to Benjamin's clutches. Seeing her crestfallen face, Eric immediately backpedaled for touching a nerve he shouldn't have. He opened up, admitting his own unease about the Emperor Duke becoming his new father figure. It wasn't that he hated the man, but the bombshell news had left him completely spiraling. Louise nodded, feeling a kinship in his confusion. Eric even confessed that he once fled home to protest the union, only to be dragged back instantly. He urged her to be brave. You should speak your truth. We shouldn't let adults treat our lives like their personal board games. Louise stood stunned. Suddenly, Karina and Carl appeared beaming with pride over her new skating skills. They cheered for her to keep going, but Louise forced a smile and told them to play on. She bolted before her tears could spill. In her rush, she collided with a mysterious figure. It was Idris. Seeing her watery eyes, he asked with genuine concern what had broken her heart. Louise shielded her face with both hands, desperate to hide her vulnerability. Idris immediately dismissed the nearby knights. Once they were alone, he gently wiped her tears away and led her toward a cozy tent. He offered her a soothing cup of tea, which she accepted with a quiet, polite thank you. Idris sat beside her in a comfortable silence, simply existing as a pillar of support. Louise finally spoke. Thank you for looking out for me. Noticing her spirits lifting, he gently asked about her earlier breakdown. If your inner circle feels too close, why not vent to a stranger? I'm just a passing shadow. The urge to trust him was strong, since she couldn't dare utter these fears to her father. Yet opening up to a total stranger felt daunting. Idris sensed her hesitation and quickly clarified his intent. He had no hidden agenda. He simply saw a girl on the verge of a total emotional collapse. I want to be your friend, he stated sincerely. Louise hesitated, then finally began to unburden her soul. She spoke of a broken trust and the suffocating silence from someone she relied on, leaving her anxious. She was terrified to ask for the truth. Idris consoled her, offering a new perspective on the situation. Follow your instincts, he advised. Hesitation only breeds more shadows within the heart. Demand clarity from your own heart. The outcome might actually surprise you. Don't worry, I've got your back. His words moved her to fresh tears. Even though he was a stranger, he felt like a sanctuary. A magical sense of security washed over her, making the heavy weight on her chest finally lift. A genuine, radiant smile broke through as she promised to try. But soon the sky began to bruise. As twilight fell, it was time to part ways. Louise called out, asking for the mysterious boy's name. Idris smirked, then leaned down to kiss the back of her hand. Call me Idris, until destiny crosses our paths again. After they split, Louise followed Eric back. Eric glanced at Idris, feeling a strange sense of déjà vu. In the carriage, the twins were completely wiped out and fell fast asleep, leaving only the elder two awake. The silence was heavy as they journeyed back toward the city's flickering lights. Eric's mind raced with guilt, worried his earlier words on the ice had only deepened her internal scars. Suddenly, Louise broke the silence, declaring her intent to be honest with her father at last. Back home, Eric squeezed her hand, trying to transfer every ounce of his courage into her fragile heart. He was relieved she was done bottling things up. Louise offered him a final grateful smile before entering. Alistair and Dame were already waiting at the gates. Alistair's face lit up as he asked about her day. Louise threw herself into her father's arms. Caught off guard, a flustered Alistair stammered, wondering what happened. She beamed up at him, her joy finally reaching her eyes. Meanwhile, Benjamin was busy trashing his room. Fury consumed him. He would surrender every title and gold coin just to have Lai back by his side. But Liam had chosen his brother instead. Alistair was always the favored one, the perpetual shadow Benjamin couldn't escape. When the inheritance shifted to Alistair, Benjamin's world exploded into a violent demand for the power he craved. His parents shut him down without a second thought. He confessed that Alistair was always there for him, especially when he hit rock bottom. Alistair was his only comfort. As a child, he admired Alistair, yet he simultaneously loathed the very ground he walked on. It was because Alistair didn't just excel, he effortlessly claimed every single dream Benjamin ever had. Seeing Alistair's success only fueled his dark obsession to take it all back. Above all, he craved Lai, the only person who truly cared for him. Alistair even snatched away that tiny spark of warmth meant for an outcast. Remembering this, Benjamin's face twists into a wicked grin. He's determined to reclaim Louise, and will never let Alistair have her. After all, the world remains clueless about their true connection. All he needs to do is endure 8 more years until Louise finally comes of age. Then he'll seize half the Imperator fortune, marry Louise, and mold her exactly how he wants. To him, she's Lai's perfect double, a chance to live with his obsession forever. That night, Louise is lost in her book. When a knock sounds, Alistair enters, gently tucking her hair back. Louise senses a strange shift in the air. Something is off today. Alistair falters his lips, trembling as he struggles to find the words to speak. Louise cuts through the silence, asking if he has something to say. Alistair completely freezes. The courage to reveal the dark truth of the contract escapes him. To speak of it is to relive his hellish past. He's terrified that once she knows, she'll look at him with fear. Louise watches him, her own heart racing with anxiety. In a moment of raw desperation, Alistair squeezes her hand and asks the one question he fears. "Do you really hate me?" Louise hesitates. She's caught in a tug-of-war between the painful truth and a comforting lie. Recalling Idris's encouragement, she speaks from the heart. "I don't hate you, Dad, but I need answers. Why didn't you come looking for Mom during those 8 long years?" Alistair shields his face, grief washing over him, as tears suddenly fall like a torrential downpour. His eyes are oceans of sorrow. Seeing his vulnerability, Louise's eyes well up too. She gently consoles him, whispering that there's no rush. They have forever, and he can tell her when he's ready. Alistair sobs, begging for her forgiveness through broken apologies. He leans in, pulling her into a desperate embrace. Louise softly pats his back, a silent anchor in his storm. "I'm so weak. Still such a failure," he murmurs. "I'm sorry for the pain I caused. When I'm ready, I'll explain everything. Forgive me for failing to protect you and lie." Louise's heart shatters at her father's fragility. She quickly reassures him that they can take things one step at a time. Alistair pulls her close once more. Once he regains his composure, he plans to visit the Vatican tomorrow, to officially add her name to the family tree, and request the Pope keep Father Hatchway in the city. Louise beams with a hopeful smile. She genuinely prays for the father's swift return. They drift off hand in hand, while Patrick, the man who helped Louise escape, finally reaches New York. But on his way to the church, knights surround him. Benjamin emerges from the shadows, wearing a smug, arrogant smirk. "You're under arrest for child abduction," he sneers. The next day, Alistair arrives at the Vatican and meets Cardinal Hitchens, who seems incredibly busy. Alistair asks where he's headed, only to receive a massive bombshell. Hitchens reveals he's bound for Benjamin's territory in New York to deal with a priest accused of kidnapping. Dread immediately sinks into Alistair's gut. Something is terribly wrong. He demands to know the priest's name. The moment he hears Father Patrick, Alistair's fists clench in rage. He never imagined Benjamin would sink this low. He tells his men to inform the Pope he'll reschedule his formal visit for another time. He demands to accompany Hitchens on the next train, straight into the heart of Benjamin's territory. Alistair asks if Father Hatchway is innocent, and if they can fire back with a countersuit for false accusations. Hitchens explains that if the charges are fake, the clergy can't be tried in rural lands. They must be moved to the city temple. Alistair breathes a sigh of relief. Anywhere is better than being trapped in Benjamin's clutches. Alistair lays out the entire situation. Hitchens is stunned. "You actually have a daughter." For 8 years, Alistair lived a life worse than death. That's why he never found Lai. Hitchens knows his tragic past well. "If not for Damas Flor, you'd still be trapped in that living nightmare," Hitchens notes. Alistair nods. It's the cold, hard truth. He reveals how Benjamin manipulated him, hiding Louise's existence the entire time. Benjamin had intercepted his letters to Lai and kept her, Louise and Father Patrick, hidden away in New York all along. Hitchens steps up as judge, the very patron who brought Louise along. He mutters that it all finally makes sense now. In that case, the charges against Patrick won't stick. He exhales in relief. No one wants to see an innocent priest suffer. Burn it all down. Alistair declares that the real villain facing judgment should be his own brother Benjamin. But Hitchens hesitates out of concern. Putting Benjamin on trial means dragging your dark past into the light. His grace remains unshaken. Alastor clenches his fist, his face hardening with a look of absolute resolve. I'm ready. Hitchens is stunned. Those hollow monster-like eyes rarely flicker with such raw human emotion. Curious, he asks what triggered this change. Alastor's gaze softens instantly. I refuse to let my daughter feel ashamed of a father like me. Entering the village, Alastor barks orders to his knights. First, hunt for witnesses and hard evidence. Then check if Father Patrick is still breathing. Finally, regroup at the Cardinal's castle. See you in court. Hitchens nods as Alastor makes a silent, deadly vow. Benjamin, you won't escape this time. He then heads to the florist, seeking a bouquet for Leah's grave. He buys every single rose in stock. The shopkeeper is baffled by such a massive sudden purchase. He asks who the lucky lady is, but hearing Leah's name, the man's face turns ghostly pale. Sensing foul play, Alastor looms over him with a murderous aura. Who killed Leah? His power is suffocating. The florist panics, his words becoming a jumbled mess. The whole village, we must have been possessed. By a demon or something, I swear. Alastor seizes his throat, his voice ice cold. I asked who killed her. Terrified, the man collapses and spills every disgusting detail of Benjamin and the villagers' crimes. Alastor chokes back his fury. He warns that knights are coming and he better repeat every word. The shopkeeper nods frantically. Clutching the roses, Alastor trudges toward Leah's final resting place with a heavy heart. The realization hits him, this was all Benjamin's sick illusion. Forgiveness is no longer an option. Reaching the grave, he whispers her name, his grief overflowing. He imagines Leah smiling, saying, "You're late, my love." He collapses to his knees, desperately pulling the ghost of his beloved into a crushing embrace. He sobs, begging for her forgiveness, for being too slow. He's finally with her. Yet an eternal abyss divides them. Leah's phantom hand brushes his cheek, whispering for him to stop weeping. She's as radiant as his memories. With a tender gaze, she entrusts Louise to him. Protect her, Alastor. He clings to her with desperate strength, only to realize he's hugging a cold, lifeless stone. Breaking down, the tears finally flow. The void she left behind is simply too much to bear. After an eternity, Alastor stands. He swears on his life this time he's bringing Leah home. Benjamin stares at the gloomy sky, a sudden nameless dread gripping his heart. Then chaos erupts at the front door. The butler tries to block the way, but Alastor kicks the door open with a thunderous crash. He marches in radiating pure killing intent. Benjamin masks his fear with a shallow plastic smirk. "Long time no see, big brother," he scoffs. Alastor's response, a brutal slap that echoes through the room. Benjamin doesn't flinch, his eyes filled with mockery. "Is that any way to greet your little brother? After all this time, a slap. Have you finally discarded your humanity, Alastor?" Alastor's rage boils over. What kind of brother lusts after his own sibling's woman? Benjamin plays it off, claiming he only admired her and never forced her hand. Alastor grinds his teeth in fury. He doesn't buy the lie for a second. Benjamin sneers arrogantly. "Oh, I'm shaking. Are you here to kill me?" He loses it, baiting Alastor further. "Then do it! Kill me right now," he screams. "Was slaughtering our parents and kin not enough? Now you want my blood too." Alastor freezes. Benjamin shoves him manic. "Do it!" Suddenly, Alastor kicks him down and crushes his leg under his boot. He grabs Benjamin's throat. "I want you dead, but a quick end is too good for you." Terror finally seeps in. Benjamin trembles, clawing desperately at the hand tightening around his neck. But Alastor's grip only hardens. His face is a mask of pure savagery. "When you committed those atrocities, you should have known this day would come." Benjamin just smirks, mocking Alastor's 8-year absence. "I protected Leah and Louise for 8 years. Where were you? You didn't even know she existed. I know why you stayed away. You were paralyzed by fear, unable to control your own devastating power," Benjamin bellows with every ounce of his strength. "You're the one who abandoned Leah. You're her murderer, you pathetic coward." Alastor clenches his fist, masking his boiling rage behind a sharp, mocking smirk. He glares at Benjamin. "Since you're so fond of using legal loopholes to hunt down Father Patrick, I'll use those same laws to bury you. Let's see who survives the fallout." Benjamin's face instantly pales as pure, unadulterated panic flickers in his eyes. Suddenly, a knight bursts into the chamber, reporting to Alastor that the missing evidence has finally been unearthed. Just as the Duke suspected, the incriminating items were stashed deep within the shadows of the office. Every villager's testimony and the smoking gun evidence have already been secured for the final blow. Relief washes over Alastor as he accepts the recovered items. They are letters, heartfelt cries. Leah wrote to her one true love. "Benjamin, my love, how are you? I miss you so much, Benjamin. We have a daughter, Benjamin." Horror strikes as Alastor sees Leah's name scratched out in every letter replaced by Benjamin's own handwriting. The audacity is sickening. Benjamin had rewritten her history. The villain merely responds with a twisted, arrogant grin. Alastor seizes him by the throat in a murderous grip. "You're only breathing right now because you still have a blood debt to pay." Meanwhile, the trial for Father Patrick's alleged kidnapping begins. Alastor makes his move, bringing out the legendary Bate. As the undefeated legal ace of the ale merchant group, Bate's presence alone makes Benjamin realize that he's walked into a trap. Bates steps forward, declaring that the charges against Father Patrick were nothing more than a baseless, fabricated farce. Real kidnapping involves a lack of consent, but Louise didn't go against her will. She fled with Patrick specifically to find her biological father. Benjamin erupts in a desperate roar. He's lying. That brat knows nothing. Patrick must have brainwashed her. The judge, Hitchens, demands that Bates present the evidence to support such a bold claim. Bates simply smiles, explaining that while the primary witness, Lady Louise, is currently in Sylvester and cannot testify, he can prove exactly why she sought her father and expose what happened during her flight. Bates commands the witnesses to enter. A parade of villagers enters the court to expose the dark truth. While they aren't innocent, their words make one thing clear. Benjamin was the puppet master behind the entire incident. The doctor who treated Leah before her tragic passing also takes the stand. He reveals the agonizing truth: Leah succumbed to influenza and severe secondary infections. While a common cold is manageable, her body was too shattered by starvation and physical neglect to survive. To make matters worse, her corpse bore the horrific, unmistakable marks of physical abuse. Upon hearing this, Alistair's heart is crushed by a tidal wave of agonizing regret. The doctor adds one more detail. Both Patrick and Benjamin were present at the end, and Leah's final wish was for Patrick to protect Louise. As the testimonies unfold, it's revealed the entire village was complicit, yet they show no remorse, shamelessly shifting the blame. Hitchens can't help but feel a bitter sense of irony at their hollow excuses. The truth is blindingly obvious now. There is no longer any need for further questioning. The judge steps forward to summarize the nightmare: a village that murdered a mother and a guardian who was a monster. All of this combined forced young Louise to flee and search for her true father. A child under 10 years old had no one to turn to in that den of vipers except for Father Patrick. Therefore, the kidnapping charges against the priest are utterly dismantled. The judge turns to the trembling Benjamin. Benjamin pathetically tries to argue, claiming he was just a worried guardian looking out for Louise's safety. What guardian wouldn't be frantic when their ward vanishes, he cries out in a desperate plea. He tries to spin his malice as excessive caution, hoping to escape the consequences of his crimes. However, the lawyer Carol Vader refuses to give him even an inch of breathing room. While my client is innocent, I officially accuse Benjamin of false testimony and malicious slander against a man of the cloth. This is blasphemy against the divine. Benjamin's world crumbles, knowing the Vatican's wrath for blasphemy is absolute and lethal. The punishment for such a sin is far beyond anything he can survive. He clenches his fists, his mind racing through the darkness. I can't end like this. I have to do something. Seeing the guards move in to drag him away, Benjamin finally snaps. He screams venomous curses at Vader. Then he points a shaking finger at Alistair, accusing his own flesh and blood of trying to annihilate him completely. She then slams Alistair for plotting to utterly ruin his soul sibling. But Alistair blanks his brother's foul curses, meeting them with an icy, lethal glare from outside the cell. Benjamin hasn't learned a thing. He stays arrogant, his distorted voice mocking Alistair from the shadows. "Are you happy now, big brother?" he sneers. "I'll never forgive you." Alistair responds with a deafening silence. Getting no reaction, Benjamin slams the iron bars. "You don't deserve Leah," he howls like a beast. "And you're no guardian for Louise. That should have been my life." Tears of fake misery blur his vision. The mockery continues. "What if Louise found out your dark secret, that the sole heir is actually—" Before he can finish, Alistair snaps. His hand shoots through the bars, locking onto Benjamin's throat. Alistair's eyes burn with pure rage. "Keep barking rumors and you'll run out of chances to speak at all." Choking, Benjamin gasps that no secret stays buried forever, his eyes filled with pure, unadulterated hatred. Alistair's logic flies out the window as he squeezes tighter. "Want to rip my tongue out yourself," the prisoner goads. Alistair doesn't hesitate. He physically mutes the trash. Panic finally flickers in Benjamin's eyes, but it's too late. Horrific gagging echoes through the stone walls. Moments later, Alistair emerges to face the gathered villagers. He puts on a polite mask, thanking them for raising his daughter Louise as her biological father. Then, a savage smirk tugs at his lips. His gentlemanly facade crumbles into something terrifyingly cold. "I truly admire how you all stick together," he drawls. "So I'll ensure no merchant ever visits here again." He leaves them with a curse. "Enjoy your solidarity in total isolation for a very, very long time." Aboard the return train, Alistair gets real with Patrick, offering him a high-ranking position in his domain. It's for protection. If Alistair falls, Patrick is the only one he trusts to keep Louise safe. Patrick is caught off guard. Alistair admits he's a man of contradictions, but he's the only one with a soul. You follow your heart, not just some piece of paper. That's the kind of man Louise needs. Patrick's walls start to crumble, though he worries the Pope won't approve of his new path as bishop. "I'll handle the Vatican," Alistair assures him. "Cardinal Hetchin is already in my pocket." Patrick is shook. Becoming the bishop of the Imperator lands is officially set in stone. Patrick's mind begins to whirl. He's hit with a wave of bittersweet nostalgia for home, mixed with the hype of seeing Louise again. He asks about the next move. Alistair's face turns deadly serious. I'm telling Louise the whole truth. They finally reach the Imperator estate. Alistair doesn't waste a second racing to find his little girl. Louise freezes for a heartbeat before launching herself at him like a rocket, clinging to her father. Her smile is literally glowing. Seeing her so happy makes all of Alistair's exhaustion vanish instantly. He pulls back to check on her, making sure she's been living her best life while he was away. Taking a deep, shaky breath, he prepares for the hardest, most emotional conversation of his life. "Come with me," he whispers, leading her to a secluded, forgotten courtyard deep within the grounds. It's a place of beautiful ruins. Louise looks around, confused by the crumbling grandeur and eerie silence. They stop before a hidden monument. Alistair's voice trembles as he speaks to the stone figure. "Louise, I'm so sorry it took me this long to finally bring you home to her." The realization hits Louise like a freight train. Her eyes flood with tears as she understands where they are. "Mom." "It's really Mom," she sobs, reaching out a trembling hand to touch the cold marble. She collapses into tears, stifling her cries as the weight of the moment crushes her. Alistair holds her. His heart breaks for her. He pulls her into a tight embrace, whispering comfort as she lets it out. "Did you love her, Daddy?" she asks, through sniffles. Alistair's eyes go misty, more than life itself. He explains that no amount of words could ever capture how much she truly meant to him. Louise senses the shift. She knows the big secrets are coming. "Why didn't you ever find us?" Alistair stops hiding. He confesses the truth about his inhuman bloodline, the curse that makes him a monster. He reveals the jagged scales creeping across his skin. Louise's eyes go wide, her breath catching. "It's hideous, isn't it?" he murmurs, looking vulnerable. He's terrified his own daughter will reject him. But after the initial shock, Louise doesn't flinch. She slowly reaches out, gently touching the scales. No fear, no disgust, just a hollow ache seeing her father describe his past with such soul-crushing sadness. Looking at him, she realizes the brutal toll it took for him to finally accept being an outcast from humanity. His agony is palpable, so she whispers the only thing that matters. "Do the scales, do they hurt?" Those words are his light in the dark. He softly promises the pain is gone, then pours his heart out to Louise. The story begins 8 years ago, before Louise was born, fueled by the cursed blood of House Imperator. To awaken the mythical beast, every heir must endure a training regimen that is essentially a death sentence. To survive that crushing power, the Imperators lived as recluses in the mountains, forging bodies of iron. In the dragon's domain of Alnar, the family learned to harvest and weaponize prehistoric draconic energy. Their entire existence was a countdown to the moment the creature inside would finally tear its way out. Upon adulthood, the dragon claims its host, granting the Imperator heir a terrifying immortal existence. The heir would then wield that dragon soul to brace for the ultimate awakening of the mythical beast. Dragons are the apex kings of serpents. That is why the snake is the symbol of their bloodline's dominance. Alistair was the ultimate prodigy, showing off insane talent and dragon potential, since he was a literal child. The elders were hyped for a legendary era, but for some reason, Alistair's power just would not wake up. By the time he hit adulthood, the family was losing it, and the branch houses started acting up. Those vultures tried to snatch his position, watching the prestigious House Imperator teeter on the edge of collapse. Paranoia consumed the elders until they made a desperate move. They forced Alistair's power to ignite. The ritual went sideways, mutating him into a freakish hybrid, trapped between man and a mindless monster. He lost his grip on humanity entirely, spending 6 long years living like a literal apex predator. His knights and vassals fought like demons to keep the house alive while Alistair was lost to the wild. Most people wanted him dead, calling him a failed experiment while they hunted for a new replacement heir. But Alistair finally broke the beast's chains, clawing his way back to consciousness and reclaiming his human soul. He returned to find his family's status trashed, their glory days a distant memory as the house declined. He tells Louise everything he ghosted lie, because he was terrified he'd accidentally kill her in his beast form. He failed the ritual, becoming a corrupted creature, stained by the dragon's dark, chaotic mana. The Dragon of Alnar is a greedy, cruel monster, the same vibe that makes Sylvester so cold and mana-obsessed. Louise feels for her dad, knowing he probably views himself as nothing more than a broken, failed creation. But even as a monster, Alistair never truly gave up holding on to one single thread of hope. Thinking of Lai was his only anchor. She was the spiritual pillar that kept his soul from shattering completely. The weight on Louise's heart finally lifts. Thank God her dad did not just abandon them on purpose. Alistair continues once he got his humanity back. James showed up with a calculated business deal. James wanted the mountain's mana stones, and Alistair needed a miracle to save the Imperator name. The contract James would carry the family back to the top of the social ladder in just 2 years. The price was giving Lady Ale the mana mines and the title of the next Grand Duchess. He desperately wanted to find Lai, but one look in the mirror killed his confidence. Crippled by shame, he thought he was too monstrous and ugly to ever show his face to her again. He lost his nerve, especially with the branch families watching his every move, like hawks waiting to strike. So he went full workaholic mode, dedicating every waking second to restoring the family's iron-fisted rule. But after 6 years of internal war, the people were shaken, and the vassals were on the verge of quitting. The fastest fix was to install a new duchess, and business tycoon Lady Ale was the perfect candidate. As the Grand Duke, Alistair had zero choice but to sign that contract to save his people. Fast forward 2 years, the Imperators are now the undisputed rulers of the North once again. He successfully revived the house, while Lady Ailey secured her spot as the future duchess in the eyes of the public. It has only been in the last 2 years that the scales on his face finally started to fade away. But he is still not fully human, no sleep, no real food, and for that, he is deeply sorry to Louise. I regret every second I lost, but Louise, your mother, is my only love. I'll make amends by crowning you the legitimate empress. Everything must be public. But Louise worries for her father, haunted by the shadows of her monstrous identity. Is it truly safe for the world to know the truth? Alistair's voice is soft, reassuring her. She logically understands his struggles, but deep down, resentment burns for those 8 lost years without her mother. Every single morning, the crushing weight of her mother's absence hits first. She realizes she was lying, claiming she could ever forgive him. Waves of sorrow crash over her, shattering her resolve. His struggles don't heal her wounds. Despite her hesitation, the bitterness in her soul refuses to fade. Alistair reaches out to comfort her, moved by her tragic yet defiant gaze. But he freezes, sensing the cold wall of resentment for failing to rescue Lai sooner. Alistair's apologies pour out, begging for a chance at forgiveness, even if it takes years. His voice cracks with desperation. Louise sees his grief and tries to force her heart to yield, but she refuses to fake it. Standing tall, she declares, "Father, I will judge your actions first, before I grant you mercy." Alistair eagerly agrees, ready to spend a lifetime atoning for his sins. Days fly by until Benjamin's day of reckoning arrives. They step into the halls of justice. At the threshold, Alistair hesitates, fearing the psychological scars Benjamin left on her young soul. He offers to send a proxy instead, but Louise cuts him off with a gaze of steel. "No, I need to witness his downfall personally. This is my right as his victim." Grasping her hand, Alistair enters the courtroom. Benjamin sits there, his mangled jaw hidden behind bandages. Spotting Louise, Benjamin erupts in a frenzied scream, yet only muffled, pathetic groans. Witnessing his pathetic downfall, Louise feels a whirlwind of emotions. Her former captor is finally broken. His iron-fisted authority has vanished into pure misery. Alistair instantly shields her from the sight. Louise beams and squeezes his hand, whispering that her father doesn't scare her anymore. "I'll speak up if it's too much," she promises. Relieved, Alistair leads her to the table. This trial has 3 goals: clear Patrick's name, expose Benjamin, and drop the ultimate truth bombs. Secrets buried for years are surfacing. To break, Benjamin Alistair must face his own dark past. The court demands to know why he ghosted New York right after Louise was born. Kitchens drops the hammer with that question. Alistair shuts his eyes, steeling his resolve. Admitting he's a failed creation could ruin the Imperator legacy, but he doesn't flinch. Prestige means nothing now. He's here as Louise's father, not the cold head of a house. He reveals the monstrous scales beneath his skin. The courtroom erupts into a chaotic frenzy of whispers. Cruel insults fly, calling him a freak. Louise grips his hand, offering her silent, unwavering support. Ignoring the haters, Alistair straightens his collar and gives his daughter a reassuring, gentle smile. Their venom can't touch him. His only concern is keeping the light in Louise's eyes alive. Slowly, he unspools his tragic story. As the truth settles, the rowdy crowd finally falls silent. Now it's Louise's turn. Kitchens asks about the abuse, but she isn't a trembling girl anymore. With fire in her eyes, she exposes Benjamin's sins. Alistair pulls her into a protective embrace. He can't fathom that in another life, Benjamin's cruelty was 100 times more demonic. But the past is dead. All that matters is that justice finally catches up to him. It's over. Benjamin glares with pure venom, but he can't even choke out a single word. The verdict: life in prison. With slit wrists and a broken spirit, Benjamin is dragged away. He looks like he wants to devour her, but Louise stares back cold and fearless. The Benjamin chapter is closed. Now it's time to officially welcome Louise into the family registry. But first, the middle name quest. Everyone huddles up, throwing out ideas for the perfect title. Alistair explains that names aren't just words, they're powerful blessings for health and happiness. Eric starts scrolling through history books, hunting for the name of a legendary saint. The twins insist Louise is a princess who needs the most aesthetic name possible. Louise is lost in the hype, but then Alistair speaks up. "Aurelia. It means precious. Like gold," he adds, hoping she'll shine forever. He waits breathless for her reaction. Her face lights up with a brilliant smile. From now on, she's Louise Aurelia Imperator. To celebrate the victory, they throw a party. Patrick and Philip finally kick back with wine. The twins bug Eric while Dame jokes about him being a total fan favorite. Louise watches the chaos, feeling pure gratitude for this new beautiful reality she's living. Suddenly, Dame pulls out a stunning pen. "The party was rushed," she says, looking shy. "I'll do better next time," Dame promises. Louise takes the gift, nearly calling her mom. The word gets stuck, so she calls her Dame. Dame just smiles totally, understanding the vibe. You only have one mom, Dame says softly, but I'd love to be your best friend. Louise looks to Alistair for a sign and beams. She's always been a Dame fangirl. They share a warm hug, looking exactly like the perfect family unit. It's a touching scene. Seeing the love makes Karina and Carl miss their own dad. Alistair steps in to comfort them. Louise spots their sad faces and rushes over. Karina practically collapses into her arms. While Carl looks on with envy, Louise reaches out, pulling him into the group hug. To Carl, she looks like an angel. They explain, they just really miss their father. They want to update their bedtime prayer, but they're scared the magic won't work midway. Eric suggests the plan some St. Nicholas party decor might just be the luck they need. Seeing their puzzled faces, Eric breaks down the lore of the St. Nicholas festival. It's a day for festive vibes, hanging ornaments, and making your deepest wishes come true. They immediately board a carriage heading into the city's heart with Dame to go shopping. Smirking, she points toward a massive block. Louise, I forgot to mention you actually own this. This is her ultimate flex for Louise. Whatever Eric possesses, Louise deserves to have too. The gift is overwhelmingly pricey, making Louise hesitate, but Dame just pulls her into the shops. She tells Louise to observe closely how a true noble carries themselves in public. At the counter, Dame dramatically calls a piece stunning, causing an immediate shopping frenzy behind her. Louise is totally shook by the influence. Instead of explaining, Dame asks for her take. Louise realizes the truth. It's because your aura is elite. Your taste becomes the gold standard. Dame beams with pride. Exactly. So live boldly, Louise. Be unapologetically yourself. I'll make sure your every move becomes the next big trend. Louise is deeply moved. She feels Dame's genuine love. Having picked their gifts, the twins rush over to surround her. They eagerly offer to help her choose. Meanwhile, back at the palace, absolute chaos erupts. Everyone is panicking, searching for the prince. Suddenly, a carriage at the gate begins moving. The servants spot His Highness inside. Idris just smirks, admitting he's wandering without a map. He speeds away, leaving the queen watching from the balcony with a frustrated sigh. She barks orders for the knights to intercept him before he reaches Imperator territory. Idris lets the horse roam freely, drifting away from the suffocating walls of the palace. He doesn't care where he lands, as long as it's far from the royal cage. Finally, he can breathe. Back in town, Louise is struggling to find the perfect gifts. She's totally indecisive, so she just asks the group what they're currently vibing with. Eric wants rare ink, Karina wants a blade, and Carl needs a new magic book. Fearing it's too much trouble, Eric adds that anything from her would be a total win. Louise promises to find that magic book and heads off alone. Suddenly, voices rise behind her. Is that her? Look, it's that girl, Louise. The whispers are sharp and malicious. She turns around only to hear them call her a pathetic, illegitimate brat. They trash-talk her heritage, claiming she's only chasing Alistair's massive inheritance like a predator. The shade gets worse. They claim she doesn't even look like she shares Alistair's blood. They suggest a different father entirely, and Louise's rage begins to boil over. The haters haven't noticed she's listening. They even start calling Alistair a literal monster. Hearing them defame her father is the final straw. Louise can't stay silent any longer. She charges forward, cutting through their lies. I heard every single word you just said. Do you actually know him? Have you seen his heart? How dare you speak his name? They immediately try to gaslight her, acting like they never mentioned Alistair at all. Louise is ready to snap, but Dame suddenly appears, placing a steady hand on her. They aren't worth your energy, Dame says, as Eric and the twins form a protective wall. Dame smirks at the cowards, inviting them to a party held exclusively at the courthouse. Terrified by the threat of a lawsuit, the two men vanish, drowning in instant regret. Dame praises her fire. You're an Imperator, Louise. You have every right to be furious. Karina and Carl chime in, saying they would have just handed out a physical beatdown instead. Eric tells Dame he'll be home late tonight, already planning his own brand of justice. Knowing his intent, Dame simply tells him to make sure the punishment really hurts. Eric comforts Louise gently. Ignore them. No matter the lies, you're my sister forever. Her sadness evaporates into a bright smile. As for the haters, their luck just ran out. Pure luck led them straight to Dame. Eric makes his move, slamming into them with intentional force. The guy sneers, asking if Eric wants a fight. Eric just nods. Look, I'm actually the big brother of the girl you mocked. Now I'll make you regret ever making my sister cry. Back at the estate, Louise feels faint. A worried crowd instantly swarms her bedside, faces pale with concern. Karina and Carl panic, asking where it hurts. She shyly claims she's fine. Alistair reaches out, gently cupping her face and kissing her forehead. As he tells her to rest, Louise grips his hand. Daddy, stay with me. Your daughter needs you. Alistair beams, absolutely thrilled to be needed by her. The others leave, and Louise whispers that something happened today. Alistair tenses, his heart racing. What was it? He asks. Louise smiles, explaining her protectors already gave those bullies a lesson. She wasn't just watching either. Today, everyone's support gave her the strength she really needed, Dad. But I still want to be a kid around you because you're my ultimate comfort. Alistair's heart melts, though he regrets not going with her. Secretly, he makes a dark vow. He'll ensure no one ever insults her again. That night, Louise falls into a deep, strange dream. She sees a massive tree with smooth bark towering over Dame. A chillingly familiar breeze begins to blow. It's soft, like her father's touch rustling through leaves that look exactly like Eric's eyes. The twins' laughter turns into butterflies. Their warmth finally heals the bitter regrets of her past life. She feels incredibly happy. By dawn, Idris arrives at the Imperial territory, stunned he actually made it. His horse really brought him here. He scratches his head, hoping he won't run into Louise. But the estate is huge. Suddenly, he hears servants arguing about Lady Louise being in a foul mood. Ever since the village, she's been down. Those bastards actually claimed she wasn't the Duke's real daughter. All because her hair color is different. Idris freezes his eyes wide with absolute shock. He knew about the lawsuit, but this is new. A servant quickly leads Idris toward the reception hall. Inside the kitchen, Messiah is teaching the kids to bake. Louise is busy crafting her own cookies. She makes cookies for both parents. Messiah praises her work, and Louise glows with a bright smile. "Do the twins look like Count Adrian?" she asks. They nod, claiming they're mini versions of their dad. But mentioning his studies in Jian ruins the mood. They're actually pretty upset about him being away. Their dad broke his promise to return early. Seeing their sadness, Louise immediately jumps in to console them. Laughter returns to the kitchen as the cookies bake. The sweet scent fills the air with joy. Taking her cookies, Louise goes quiet. She wonders, what if her hair was black, like her father's? Then they'd look like a real family, ending the rumors. She grabs some chocolate sauce with a plan. She starts painting the cookies' hair black. Eric is confused. Why not use strawberry red for it? Louise panics, not wanting to share her dark mood. She quickly turns away to leave the room. "I'm going to rest," she mumbles. Eric worries he did something wrong, while the others look on. Outside, Louise spots a bottle of black ink on a table. Her eyes light up with a plan. Grabbing the ink, she rushes down the path only to crash headfirst into Idris. They both tumble. Sprawled on top of him, Louise helplessly asks if he's okay. Looking up, she realizes it's the boy from before. They both scramble to their feet, dusting off. "How did you get here?" she asks. He admits his carriage just brought him here by chance. He spots the ink. What exactly are you planning to do with that bottle?" Trusting him, she doesn't hold back. She explains she's checking if ink can dye her hair black. Everything clicks for Idris. Recalling the servant's gossip, he realizes why she's being so reckless. He snatches the bottle away. "I'm confiscating this. You're only doing this because of those rumors. About your hair not matching your family, right?" Louise is shocked. How could he possibly know? "Were you following me?" she demands. Idris can't deny it. He did start all this for fun. "Did you just approach me for kicks?" she asks. Idris admits it initially he was just playing. Call it a twisted sense of curiosity, but Idris couldn't help wondering about Alistair's mysterious daughter. Yet after their brief encounter, he realized Louise was a mirror image of his own shattered soul. They both held the truth, but were powerless to act, a realization that struck Idris like lightning. Suddenly, curiosity morphed into something deeper. He gently took her hand, whispering for her to stop crying. He confessed that while he shadowed her before this meeting was nothing short of a destined coincidence. Bowing in sincere apology for his past recklessness, he mentioned hearing whispers of Benjamin's trial nearby. He'd pieced the puzzle together, asking softly if those cruel rumors and his erratic behavior broke her. As he apologized again, the stormy waves of Louise's grief finally began to recede into a calm. Regret flickered in her eyes as she offered her own apology for her previously icy sharp tone. Idris understood completely, but when she demanded her ink bottle back, the boy stubbornly stood his ground. No matter how she lunged for it, he refused to budge, fueling Louise's growing spark of irritation. Their scuffle ended with Idris pinned beneath her, his face flushing crimson as he stammered for space. Frustrated, Louise demanded the ink again, but Idris doubled down. He couldn't let her erase her natural beauty. "Your hair is breathtaking," he murmured. The sudden praise hit Louise like a shock, freezing her instantly. A deep blush painted her cheeks as Idris reached out his fingers, tracing her strands with a smile. With a soft glow in his eyes, he compared her hair to roses blooming in peak May. He called her captivating, and those simple words caused a fresh wave of tears to well up. She couldn't deny the flutter in her heart, yet she stubbornly insisted his compliments didn't bring happiness. Sensing her fragile state, Idris offered a gentle, rhythmic pat on her back to act as her anchor. The dam finally broke, and Louise collapsed into his arms, sobbing out the truth she'd kept buried. She cherished the color because it reminded her of her mother, but that black ink represented escape. She hoped that by hiding her true self, the venomous gossip and endless rumors would finally vanish. Idris pleaded with her to drop the dye, reminding her that the cycle of hiding never truly ends. "Living for others' approval is a losing game," he warned. "You'll only end up losing your true self." His words struck a chord, and Louise promised to stop letting the world's whispers dictate her worth. As the tension evaporated, she realized she was still draped over him, scrambling away with frantic apologies. Stuttering about her clumsiness, she watched as Idris softly chuckled and finally handed over the ink bottle. Having mended her broken spirit, he prepared to vanish into the shadows, offering a final, lingering goodbye. Louise reached out in gratitude, but Idris caught her hand, kissing her knuckles before teasing her playfully. Just then, the royal guards arrived to whisk him back. His stolen moment of freedom had expired. Deep down, Louise prayed their paths weren't cursed, realizing her heart had already begun to chase him. The feeling was mutual. Idris had been captivated from the start. With a heavy heart, Louise waved goodbye. That night, as Alistair brushed her hair, the sight of her vibrant locks brought back memories of Leah. He recalled how Leah adored ponytails, especially when the summer sun coaxed the roses into radiant bloom. He described her rose-like braids, words that mirrored Idris's praise so perfectly, it made Louise's heart race. A shy smile tugged at her lips, realizing Idris truly possessed a silver tongue capable of melting her. Yet a shadow of mystery remained. She realized she knew absolutely nothing about him except his name. Noticing her distant gaze, Alistair playfully tickled her, desperate to see his daughter's bright smile return once more. The next day, Philip reported the Queen's knights were hovering, but Alistair chose to let them simmer. He braced for the Queen's move after the trial, but the royal summons arrived far sooner than expected. A sense of dread washed over him, as he hoped his dark premonitions weren't coming to life. Meanwhile, behind cold palace walls, the Queen ruthlessly ordered Idris to be locked away in solitary confinement. "Poor little fool," she hissed. "I have much more gracious ways to deal with your pathetic defiance." Bitter resentment festered in her heart as she counted the 4 long years her family had been gone. Her eyes burned with malice, hating how Louise flourished in peace while the rest of them suffered. Deep in the palace, the Queen knows the truth. This child carries a heavy, painful history. Shaking off the sadness, she's uncovered Louise's tragic past and yearns to meet her. The sun finally rises on a brand new day. Alistair summons Louise, presenting her with the legendary family heirloom. She's absolutely stunned by such a grand, noble gesture. Alistair insists she takes it. "You are my flesh and blood, the future sovereign of the great house Imperator." Louise's heart nearly stops, her grip faltering in pure shock. He reveals an ancient prophecy hidden within their veins. Imperator blood alone can awaken the mythic beast and bring ultimate peace to this entire chaotic world. The heir must forge a soul of steel to dominate that overwhelming power once the creature finally stirs. Relentless training is the only way to survive. They've become the royal sword, earning the king's absolute trust. Their loyalty is legendary, but the object resting in her trembling palms is much more than mere gold. It's the ancestral egg of the mythic creature itself. Louise completely freezes her mind, racing with pure fear. Her fingers slip, and the treasure crashes to the floor. She frantically begs Alistair for his forgiveness. He gently reassures her, returning the relic to her hands. Louise feels the crushing weight of destiny now. Trembling, she asks what happens if it never hatches. Alistair affectionately pats her head to calm her nerves. Then the next heir simply carries the burden, just like our ancestors did for many centuries before us. "It belongs to you now, so never let it leave your side." Louise nods, determination burning in her eyes. Night falls, and Louise plays with the twins. They're obsessed with her, begging for her not to leave. Serena clings to her like glue. Softening, Louise agrees to a sleepover. The 3 share a heartwarming, joyful embrace. The St. Nicholas festival looms. Tomorrow's mission: scale the mountain to chop down the grandest tree for decorating. They're already dreaming of endless cookies. Suddenly, Carl proposes that the Elnar Knights assist with the heavy lifting. Karina agrees instantly. It's the perfect plan for the upcoming celebration. Louise is dying to see the mysterious Night Order, having never crossed paths with such legendary warriors before. She can't wait for dawn to break. Morning arrives, and Serena and Carl lead her to the barracks. Louise watches the training grounds in total awe. The raw power of the Knights is absolutely breathtaking. The moment they spot her, the entire field goes silent. Franz, the vice captain, snaps at them for stopping. Louise steps forward, greeting them with a graceful, elegant bow. "It is truly an honor to meet you all. I am Louise Aurelia Imperator." The Knights are instantly smitten by her pure, radiant charm. They whisper about how adorable she is until Franz's sharp cough breaks the spell. He drops to one knee. He introduces himself with deep respect. "It's a supreme honor to serve you, young lady. Just name your wish." She timidly asks if they'd help her find the perfect festival tree. The Knights are ready for action. With the festival fast approaching, the squad prepares to conquer the mountain slopes under the winter sky. Louise brings Alina along for the trek. The Knights fuss over her, worried the biting cold might hurt her. They offer their own cloaks, even threatening to strip off their shirts to keep her warm. Seeing their bare chests, she covers her eyes in a crimson blush. Carl scolds their complete lack of class. Behind them, Iris shields Karina's eyes too. They begin the slow ascent, Louise silently thanking Franz for his kindness. Franz smiles, insisting that serving her is the highest privilege for any knight in his prestigious order. One knight enthusiastically offers to carry her on his back the moment her small legs get tired. When Carl complains about his own aching feet, the knight's smile vanishes, instantly replaced by a cold glare. He barks at Carl to man up and train harder. This blatant double standard leaves poor Carl speechless. Louise can't help but giggle at the chaotic scene. Soon they emerge into a strange wide clearing. Confused, Louise asks Franz why this part of the forest looks so unnaturally empty, as if leveled by force. Franz stands paralyzed, his eyes wide with shock. He's staring at something in the distance, completely lost. She has to call his name twice before he snaps back to reality, finally finding his voice to explain. This is their secret winter training camp. Louise finds it stunning, but the mountain peaks are lethally treacherous. Commoners wouldn't survive this climb. Carl nods, remembering the legends of the dangerous terrain they're currently walking. Even Damien struggled to establish the mana mines here because a literal dragon guards these frozen heights. A divine guardian dwells within these peaks, a being touched by grace. Eilis's curiosity is instantly piqued. She wonders if they should offer a greeting if they encounter the dragon. He immediately shoots the idea down. He warns her of the dragon's lethal nature. Mount Alnar is home to many other treacherous beasts besides, but Lena always alerts me when predators lurk nearby. Countless lives have been spared thanks to her sharp instincts. Louise remembers that she also owes her life to Lena. She can't resist stepping forward toward her. She pulls Lena into a tender embrace, whispering her gratitude once more. Lena responds by nuzzling back affectionately. Franz watches the heartwarming scene with a satisfied smile. Their next move is to harvest a sturdy tree. Before they begin the heavy lifting, Franz gives Louise a stern warning to stay within his sight. The moment they touch a trunk, a bird descends in a whirlwind of feathers, pecking the knights mercilessly. No matter how they swat, the bird won't budge. Louise freezes as she locks eyes with the frantic creature. "Give me back my child!" the bird shrieks. It dives straight toward Louise with a desperate, piercing intensity. As the bird streaks closer, a shock hits Louise. She realizes she can actually comprehend its every word. Fearing an attack, Franz lunges to drive the creature off, but Louise gasps that the bird is speaking. Franz is baffled, hearing nothing but frantic chirping. Driven by pure curiosity, she rushes toward the feathered intruder. She asks about the child it mentioned. The bird freezes in mid-air, stunned that a human understands it. It reveals a heartbreaking truth. The relic hanging around Louise's neck is actually its long-lost offspring. Recognition flashes in Louise's eyes. Her father once mentioned that to ward off greedy eyes. The necklace was masked with a powerful illusion. Sensing this is a mythical being, she decides to act. She offers the collar. With a few sharp pecks, a glowing magic circle erupts from the stone's surface. Suddenly, Lena creeps up behind the bird and sniffs the air, unhinging her massive jaws wide. She's about to swallow it whole. Louise dives in just in time to stop the snack, halting Lena. Louise asks why the bird claims this egg belongs to it. The avian creature begins its tragic tale. This egg takes 300 years to hatch. It guarded it for a century before it was stolen. "You're all just filthy, despicable thieves," it screeches. A panicked Louise swears she had no idea of its origin. She explains it was a family heirloom passed down through generations without anyone ever knowing the dark truth. She wonders why the bird didn't come looking for it sooner. The bird mentions a terrifying original thief. "A monstrous serpent snatched my child. That beast was pure, overwhelming terror and far too powerful to face. As the mountain's true ruler, I was forced to watch helplessly for 200 long, agonizing years. My child was right there, yet out of reach." Its voice cracks with a heavy, bitter resentment. "Do you have any idea the agony I've endured?" Louise reflects on her own painful separation from her father. Feeling his crushing grief, she realizes she must return the egg to its rightful parent immediately. She asks about its plans. The bird intends to return home and finally finish incubating its lost child. It wants to shower the egg with 2 centuries worth of missed love. Louise points toward the distance. She asks if that tree is its home, only to see the knights have already chopped it down. They're prepping the trunk for the festival display. There's no way to stop the falling timber now. The home is gone. The bird bows its head in total "You humans take everything from me. You burn our woods and now you destroy my very home." Louise struggles to find any words of comfort. Paralyzed by guilt, a sudden spark of inspiration hits her. She invites the bird to return with her. The bird thinks she's insane for suggesting a snake's den. She explains that since it's homeless, it needs refuge. Why not stay with her until a new nest is built? As they prepare to leave, Franz is stunned. Why go this far for a bird? Louise admits her family has caused this creature enough pain already. She refuses to let this family be torn apart again. With a heavy heart, she offers a sincere apology. "I may not know the whole story, but I'm truly sorry for the years you've lost away from home." The bird is stunned. This human girl is nothing like the cold snakes it knows. It finally agrees. "Fine, I'll stay by your side until my new home is ready." And so their journey back begins. A bizarre bird stares at their sweet daughter perched right on her head. Alistair stands there completely floored. Just as Louise opens her mouth, the bird panics and takes flight. "Snake, a predator is near. Is there a serpent here? Did you deceive me?" The bird demands to know if Alistair wants to boil its egg. "Stupid snake. Filthy human Alistair raises an eyebrow, realizing this legendary creature has zero intention of causing real harm. The bird finally settles, puffing its chest with pride. I am Calandria, the mythical guardian of Mount Elnar. Alistair watches in silence. To any outsider, it's just the melodic chirping of a tiny bird. Yet, somehow he understands every single word. Once he gets the confirmation he needs, he stares intensely at the creature. Is this the legendary being his family has anticipated for generations? He wonders what his ancestors would think. Calandria would likely rain fury down on those clueless humans for stealing her egg. Little does he know, Calandria is listening to every single one of his inner thoughts. Since you understand, remember this. You humans drop dead in the blink of an eye anyway. But your sins, you'll pay for those for the next 100 years. Just you wait. Louise just blinks, totally lost. Calandria flaps her wings impatiently, demanding Louise build her a proper nest the moment they hit the bedroom. Louise prepares a plush cushion adorned with fresh flowers. Calandria chirps in delight, finally satisfied with her new throne. She gently places the egg down. Louise watches, wondering just how long this little one will take to hatch. Calandria admits, even she doesn't know. That egg hasn't stirred in over 200 years. It's already a miracle, but she knows her baby will be born. Louise asks if she eats worms or bugs. Calandria explains that she usually loses her appetite while brooding. Food is the last thing on her mind. If anything, she needs a high-protein, high-fat blend. It sounds tricky, but Louise nods, determined to make it happen. Calandria pauses, noting that Louise is nothing like the other humans she's encountered. For the daughter of a snake, she's remarkably kind. The unexpected praise leaves Louise blushing bright red. She tries to explain she isn't a snake, but the bird just turns away. Shh, I am brooding now. Quiet. Louise bites her lip, forced into a sudden, awkward silence. Then Calandria blushes, whispering a shy thank you. Louise beams, feeling a massive surge of accomplishment. Later, she heads to the study. Suddenly, Karina and Carl drag in a very grumpy-looking Eric to find her. Eric is covered head to toe in random decorations. Louise stares, wondering what kind of chaos the twins have unleashed. They cheer, begging her to help decorate the festival tree together. I got to her first, they shout. Louise helps peel the glittery mess off Eric. The twins keep pestering her until she finally tells them to go ahead. She'll be right behind them. Eric looks absolutely drained by those two little agents of chaos. They treated him like a mannequin. Now he needs Louise to help him clean up the leftover mess. Just as they finish, Eric suddenly catches her hand. His eyes go soft as he offers a sincere apology. I am sorry for being so thoughtless last time. Louise tilts her head momentarily, confused by his sudden change. He reminds her of that day in the kitchen. He'd asked why she had chocolate sauce in her hair. Are you still mad? You ran out and took forever to come back. He looks genuinely anxious for her forgiveness. Louise steps in and gives him a warm hug. I am not angry with you at all, she whispers softly. Your words didn't hurt me. I was just caught up in what those other people were whispering. I am sorry for making you worry. Eric sighs in relief, making her promise they will never fight again. Louise smiles. We won't, because you're the best brother ever. Eric's face turns a deep shade of crimson. With the air cleared, they spend the next several hours working hard to get the tree looking perfect. Finally, it's finished. Now all they need is for St. Nicholas to show up on festival day. But where is he? Eric stays quiet, knowing the truth, but Louise's excited face makes him keep the secret. That night, Calandria watches her curiously. What are you scribbling over there, tiny human? Louise explains it's a gift list for the St. Nicholas party. She asks Calandria what her heart desires. The bird tilts its head, thinking deeply, before giving a heavy, serious answer. I want the people of the mountain to return home. Louise freezes. That's a wish she can't possibly grant. She knows deep down it's just a pipe dream. Never mind, she sighs, haunted by the memory of her fallen friends. Suddenly, a new request surfaces. Tiny human, your lives are a mere blink. Give me something that never fades. Something to outlast time itself. A gemstone, a sturdy tree, even better. Tell me a legend I can cherish. An ancient tale begins. Long ago, there was a vast whispering forest where every single tree possessed its own name. When a child was born in the mountains, a sapling was planted growing alongside them through every passing year. At the end of their journey, they returned to nature, and that very tree fueled the fire for their final rest. But those trees are ghosts now. That entire sacred forest was reduced to nothing but cold gray ash. So Louise, don't squander your brief spark of life on hatred. You barely have enough time to truly love, and that includes loving yourself. So as a gift, perhaps you can promise me the first tree of that forest. Louise nods, her heart heavy. For the St. Nicholas festival, the maids transform her into a radiant little princess. Gazing through the window, she sees the ballroom glowing with life and buzzing with vibrant energy. Her father had granted the twins' wish, inviting every soul in the city to join this grand celebration. A memorial feast for all. Calandria flutters down right then, her mood surprisingly bright and cheerful. Louise beams, inviting the bird to join the fun, but Calandria plays it cool and refuses to join. Louise mentions the gourmet feast waiting inside. Instantly, the bird perches on her shoulder, ready for the buffet. Humming with pure ego, she decides the humans deserve to witness her grace. Move it, Louise, let's go. Alistair is waiting at the door. He's stunned by her beauty, but then he spots the feathered passenger. He's shocked she's actually bringing a bird. Louise just giggles, wanting to introduce her mythical friend to everyone. Alistair isn't a fan of the shoulder perch. She looks heavy, Louise. Why not let the bird fly solo? Louise insists she's fine, but Caladria is fuming at the shade. She shrieks in Alistair's face with pure rage. That snake man, I hate him, Caladria cries. Alistair simply snatches her up, giving her a cold ultimatum. Either stay in his arms or fly alone. Caladria curses under her breath and quickly chooses to take flight. Alistair triumphantly sweeps his daughter up. Let's go, my princess. Louise enters blushing as they reach the hall. Karina rushes over, eyes wide with excitement. You look like a real-life princess, she gasps at the dress. Beside her, Carl is totally paralyzed, his face turning bright red. You look breathtaking today, Louise, he stammers. Louise thanks them, but wonders why Carl is glowing like a tomato. He starts getting even more shy and nervous. He blames the heavy clothes and the heat. Dama just smiles, stepping forward to greet the young lady. Watching Caladria soar, she realizes this is the legendary mythical beast Alistair had described before. Curious, she asks if the bird has any special powers. Caladria puffs out her chest with absolute pride. She boasts that one of her tears can grant a dying soul another full year of life. Louise translates the boast to Dama. Dama's eyes light up, she's ready to strike a business deal right then. Confused by the talk of business, Caladria simply flies off. Meanwhile, the party is in full swing. Louise scans the crowd for Father Patrick. Alistair assures her he'll be arriving any second now. Right on cue, Patrick appears. Louise's face lights up as she rushes to greet him with pure joy. Surrounded by warmth, Alistair prepares to mingle. Louise bids him a sweet farewell with a kiss on his hand. Have the best time, Papa Louise beams, feeling a wave of pure, unadulterated happiness. Everyone she loves is under one roof. Karina, Carl, her big brother, Eric Patrick, and even Philip. The maids Dama, her beloved father, the brave knights, and even Selena are all gathered together. Her heart swells with warmth, yet a tiny shadow remains. One person is still missing from the picture. In a dreamlike haze, she feels her mother's spirit watching over her like a guardian angel from above. Don't stay still for my sake, her mother whispers. Keep moving toward your own beautiful future, my child. Louise fights back the tears. On a night this gorgeous, she wants to focus only on happy thoughts. Everyone is smiling, calling for a toast. Louise lifts her skirts and descends the stairs with royal grace. Karina exhales in awe. It's their very first banquet here, and the atmosphere is purely magical. Everything since Louise's arrival has been a whirlwind of miracles. Until she notices Carl clumsily spilling his drink. Out of habit, she reaches out to wipe a stray drop from the corner of his mouth. Carl's face turns beet red as he recoils. Louise is totally lost, wondering what's up with him. He panics, making chocolate excuses before fleeing. Karina can only sigh at his obvious nerves. You're so transparent, Carl, Eric scoffs, pulling Louise into a protective, grumpy hug. Louise remains clueless, leaving everyone stunned by just how dense our main character can be. It's finally time for gifts. Shirley excitedly steps up, insisting that Louise opens hers first. She hands a box to Eric. Once opened, he realizes it's his favorite high-end ink. It's a limited edition. Eric is glowing with joy as he gushes over Louise's perfect choice. Next, Louise turns to the twins, deciding to save their presents for the grand finale. The twins immediately freak out, fearing they messed up. Louise quickly eases their worries. You're my favorites, so I'm saving the best for last. Their hearts absolutely melt. They call her a literal fairy. Then Louise surprises Dama with a special gift. Dama is shook. Louise confesses she's always been her idol, the coolest person she knows. She's so grateful Dama is by her father's side. Dama's face turns a bright, flustered crimson. Finally, Louise thanks her for the endless kindness. Dama is moved to actual tears. To her, Louise's validation is the ultimate treasure. She pulls the girl into a warm embrace. Now for the big one, her dad's gift. Alistair smiles, revealing he has a surprise for her too. A whole southern villa. Louise's jaw drops at the sheer scale of such a massive gift. Alistair gently strokes her cheek, making a pinky promise for the upcoming spring. They'll escape to the villa for hunting and fishing. Louise beams ready for the fun. Even the staff joins in, and Louise thanks every single person with a warm smile. Dama hands her a camera to capture every precious, beautiful moment they share together. Let's use it now, Louise suggests. Meanwhile, Karina and Carl start bickering over photo spots. Suddenly, Alistair calls out to her. Without hesitation, Louise chooses to stay by her father's side. The countdown ends and everyone flashes a smile as Alistair pulls his sweet daughter close. It's a moment of pure bliss. Louise is so hyped she wants to frame this memory forever. Alistair agrees, but the twins look on with envy, missing their own father dearly. Carl grumbles that Santa failed his one wish. Karina wonders if they were too naughty. They think they were forgotten, but little do they know, a familiar figure is already approaching. someone is walking toward them. Karina and Carl freeze, sensing a strangely familiar presence. Did you hear that? Carl whispers. A man with striking silver hair emerges from the shadows. Bearing a rugged scar, he laughs. Don't my little pirates want to see their old man? It's him! Tears flood their eyes as they charge headfirst into their father's arms. They sob, asking why he took so long. Count Adrian holds them tight, overflowing with love. Alistair introduces the newcomer. This is Cesare Adrian, the twins' legendary and powerful father. As a high-ranking imperial vassal, the Count formally greets our precious main character. He's heard all about her, and sincerely thanks her for babysitting his chaotic duo. Louise politely disagrees, insisting she's the one learning everything from her amazing friends. The Count is floored. He knows his kids are literal little devils, not angels. But Louise is dead serious. They're her besties. Adrian finally smiles with massive relief. I leave them in your hands, he says. They'll be your ultimate sword and shield. Louise nods firmly while the twins cling to their dad, peppering him with questions. How long can he stay? Will he be there for their birthdays this time? He promises to stay until spring, but as Alistair and Louise turn to leave, he calls out, he has a message for Louise from a mysterious Burton envoy he met on the road. I took the liberty of bringing the letter the Queen wrote to Miss Louise. Alistair is stunned, his face turning grim. Louise takes it, her curiosity piqued. She opens the envelope to find an invitation to a royal palace tea party. Those few lines make Louise's heart race like a wild stallion in her chest. Why would such a high noble invite her? Alistair is completely baffled too. The Queen has no reason to see Louise. Count Adrian tries to calm him. He suggests the Queen naturally cares about the Imperator heir. Alistair speaks darkly. You don't know the Queen. Adrian falls silent. She sees people as mere tools. Even if her sword begins to rot, she watches with cold, detached eyes. She'd be the first to discard it. Suddenly, Louise decides she will go. Despite her fear, she senses this meeting is unavoidable. Adrian is truly impressed. He's shocked a child noticed the hidden intent. Alistair regrets he can't protect her. He hates sending her into that social viper pit so young, but he's stuck. You can't refuse the Queen. Louise comforts him, claiming she really wants to go. Adrian then presents a gift box, explaining it's a direct token from the Queen. Inside sits a crown encrusted with jewels. Alistair feels a wave of unease. This is no toy. The Queen expects her to wear it. He places it on. I'll escort you to meet her and introduce you to the social world. Louise obeys. Alistair kisses her forehead tenderly. Meanwhile, Idris visits his Aunt Penelope. Penelope mentions the Queen is officially inviting Louise to the palace very soon. Idris tenses up. He hopes they won't cross paths in those massive halls. He fears if she learns his true identity, she'll be furious again. As the date nears, Caladria praises Louise for being absolutely incredible. The human ruler bridges the gap between mythical creatures and mankind. Seeing her puzzled look, Caladria explains the king is the divine intermediary. Until recently, the Queen performed annual blessing ceremonies for the mountain spirits. Why did they stop? Louise wonders if it's linked to the tragedy 4 years ago. Soon, etiquette lessons begin. Karina and Carl get dragged into the intense training too. Louise asks if Eric needs lessons. The tutor says he's already mastered them. Though he's her son, Eric is a commoner, despite his mother's noble title. He has no title, just wealth. A royal appointment isn't something money can buy. He could become a knight if he wanted, but neither of them desire that. Louise practices with pure grace, looking every bit the elegant noble lady. Karina is totally captivated. The tutor is pleased by how fast she learns. The day of the audience arrives. Everyone gathers to see them off at the gate. Dressed in white in her crown, Louise looks ethereal as she says goodbye. Inside the carriage, she's a bundle of nerves and excitement. They finally arrive. Servants line the entrance, offering a respectful welcome to every elite tea guest. At the entrance, guards suddenly block Alistair. Duke, you cannot proceed further. Alistair realizes the trap. The Queen wants Louise alone and defenseless. He refuses, but guards warn. It's a direct royal order. A standoff begins. Seeing the danger, Louis grabs his arm. It's okay, Dad. I'll go alone. Worried, Alistair can only wait outside as he watches her walk away. Louise waits for ages without being called. The grand hall doors remain shut. It's strange. Did the Queen suddenly decide she didn't want to see her? Realizing that just sitting around wouldn't solve anything, she began to wander the grounds until she stumbled into a hidden garden. From across the grass, Penelope spotted her and called out with a warm smile. Only then did Louise realize she wasn't alone. Penelope softly asked if she had lost her way, and Louise truthfully confessed she was there for an audience with the Queen. But the summons never came. A shadow of concern crossed Penelope's face as she realized the scheduled time had already passed. My sister can be so heartless, she sighed. Louise then noticed the wheelchair, realizing this elegant woman faced a silent struggle with mobility. Overcome with worry, Louise draped her own shawl over Penelope's shoulders, whispering that the winter chill was still far too biting. Penelope blinked in shock, deeply moved that the imperial bloodline could produce such a pure and radiant soul. "Thank you, dear," she smiled, introducing herself as Penelope Alice. Louise's heart skipped a beat as she froze in place. The shimmering silver hair, a legendary royal trait combined with the name Alice, made the truth crystal clear. The realization hit her like a lightning bolt. This woman was a high-ranking member of the Queen's own family. With a playful wink, Penelope confirmed the Queen was indeed her sister. Louise immediately dropped into a deep, respectful bow. "It is an immense honor," she stammered, eventually settling on the title Great Aunt Penelope, which made the older woman beam with joy. Clearly charmed by the girl's sweetness, Penelope giggled. Suddenly, another voice echoed through the air, calling out for Great Aunt. Louise looked up curiously as a worried Idris rushed in, scolding Penelope for staying out in the cold air. His lecture died in his throat when he spotted Louise standing there. Time seemed to freeze as their eyes locked in silence. The truth finally crashed down. Idris was the prince himself, glaring at him. Louise bit out a single word: liar. "You've tricked me twice now." Seeing her on the verge of tears, a panicked Idris scrambled forward to beg for forgiveness. He desperately tried to explain the reasons for his secrecy, but Louise just looked at him with big, confused eyes. "But why?" Idris's cheeks flushed crimson. "Because you're the first person who lets me talk freely. Everyone here is always so formal." Louise's rage melted instantly at his honesty. Softening, she made him promise never to hide the truth from her again. Idris gave an indulgent smile and quickly agreed. Seeing the conflict resolved, Penelope urged the prince to escort Louise to the Queen. Louise's eyes widened in panic. In all the excitement, she had completely forgotten about her official royal summons. Idris hurried her toward the throne room. When Louise worried about the Queen's wrath, he gave her a reassuring, confident grin. "I'll just tell her I was the one bothering you for company," he promised. A warm, fuzzy feeling blossomed in Louise's chest. They skipped toward the palace hand in hand, laughing and playing, totally oblivious to the absolute chaos erupting inside the stone walls. Upon learning Louise was missing, the Queen's composure shattered, and she ordered the royal guards to scour every inch of the grounds. Once the guards left, the Queen paced her study like a caged lion, her mind racing with terrifying thoughts of the girl's fate. Suddenly, the secretary burst in with news. "His Highness has arrived with Lady Louise." The duo reached the hall, gasping for air. Facing the Queen in the grand vestibule, Louise's nerves returned in a devastating wave. She couldn't help but tremble. Involuntarily, she squeezed Idris's hand tighter. Sensing her fear, the prince whispered a few words of courage to bolster her spirit. She gave a tiny nod and stepped forward, her movements surprisingly graceful and elegant despite the fluttering in her heart. "Louise Aurelia, Emperor greets Her Majesty," she said, bowing low. The Queen watched her, a whirlwind of conflicting emotions in her eyes. "She's not a viper. She's just a little rabbit," the Queen realized, softening as she reached out to the young girl. With perfect poise, Louise approached without a hint of arrogance and gently pressed a kiss to the back of the Queen's hand. "The honor is all mine, Your Majesty." Charmed, the Queen invited Louise to join her on the patio for afternoon tea. Louise quickly turned to Idris, asking him to join them. A genuine bright smile broke across the prince's face. Being included so naturally made his heart soar, though he knew his mother held the final power over his schedule. To his delight, the Queen allowed him to stay. Once they were settled, Idris began regaling her with their chance encounter. When I arrived, Louise was already chatting away with Brandon. He laughed, sharing the joy of their meeting. He noted that Brandon hadn't looked that happy in years. Blushing, Louise explained how she'd gotten lost before meeting Penelope. Idris beamed, telling the Queen how everyone was instantly captivated by Louise's charm. "Great Aunt Penelope really took a shine to you." His flattering words caused Louise to turn a shade of red that rivaled the blooming roses in the garden. The Queen watched the pair closely, noting the genuine warmth and tenderness Idris displayed toward the young girl. It was a complete departure from his usual cold indifference toward high society. On one hand, the sight was truly beautiful, but on the other hand, seeing them so happy together sent a sharp, mysterious pang of sorrow through the Queen's heart. Since her son and daughter-in-law's tragic end is tied to Alistair, the Queen knows Louise is just an innocent soul caught in the crossfire. Looking at this precious, clueless girl, she struggles to keep her rising resentment from bubbling over. The Queen begins to question her own coldness, finding herself unexpectedly drawn to Louise's genuine charm. After their brief chat, she motions to Idris, giving him the green light to show Louise around the breathtaking palace grounds. The moment they step out of the garden, Idris's cool exterior shatters, leaving him completely tongue-tied and blushing. A shy Louise pouts at him, teasing, "You shouldn't say such heart-fluttering things so casually. It's totally confusing." "What do you mean?" he asks, genuinely lost. Louise's face turns beet red as she avoids his gaze with an awkward side-eye. "I mean, the way you keep calling me cute and pretty," she blurts out, making Idris turn into a total tomato instantly. He's a nervous wreck, hands flying everywhere, as he stammers to explain that every word was the absolute truth. Louise gives him a playful look. "Wait, why are you the one getting shy?" He admits his true feelings just slipped out by accident. He reaches out and takes her hand, his voice dropping an octave. "Louise, I'm serious. You really are the most beautiful girl ever." Louise feels like her face is literally on fire. She stammers out a quick, "I get it," and begs him to stop before she melts. Seeing her flustered makes Idris even bolder. With a burning gaze, he gently grasps her hand. "Then let's go," he whispers softly. This sudden closeness sends Louise's brain into a total tailspin, and she just nods blankly, her heart racing a mile a minute. Seizing the chance, Idris begs her to visit the palace more often. Finally, Louise's logical side starts to kick back in. "Wait, can I really just show up here whenever she asks?" Idris gently brushes her cheek, a touch of sadness in his eyes. "Can I come to your place instead?" he asks. Louise beams, telling him her friends would absolutely vibe with that. He tilts his head in confusion, so Louise happily lists them off: Carl, Karina, and of course her big brother Eric. It suddenly hits him that her father is getting remarried soon. Worried she might be hurting, he asks her about it very carefully. She flashes him a genuine, heartwarming smile, explaining that she's already opened her heart to her new stepmother. She sees Eric and the others as her real family now. Idris exhales in relief, but then Louise innocently asks about his parents. His expression instantly sours. After a heavy silence, he finally drops the bombshell: his parents were once branded as heretics. His father actually sacrificed his mother, desperate to join the heretics and seize the entire country after his first failure. He was caught, and while his royal blood saved him from the pyre, he ended his own life with poison in the end. The queen was adamant: royalty must set the ultimate example for the citizens, no matter how high the cost. A dark shadow of melancholy falls over Idris as he confesses he can never forgive him. Louise's heart aches for his silent pain. Everything makes sense now. Despite only being 2 years older than her, he carries the weight of the world on his shoulders. He's even more mature than Eric, and seeing him like this triggers memories of her past life. She squeezes his hand tight. She gives him a dazzling smile. "Now it's my turn to protect your heart." Idris just stands there, totally caught off guard. His entire body goes stiff as a board the next second. Louise dives in and wraps him in a massive warm hug. "Miss Louise," he stammers, his brain completely short-circuiting. Louise just ignores her own racing heart to stay focused on him. She makes him promise to visit so they can run through the fields and go skiing together. "No breaking this promise, okay?" A wave of warmth floods Idris's chest as he blushes, and finally pulls her into a gentle, matching embrace. "I promise." As twilight settles in, it's time to say goodbye. Idris shyly asks if he can send her letters, catching her off guard. He explains that since he's stuck in the palace, letters are the only way they can stay connected and share their lives. He wants to share every joy and sorrow with her. He asks her to promise he'll always be the first one she tells. Louise feels like she's floating on clouds. With a radiant, honey-sweet grin, she happily agrees to his request. Finally, Alistair arrives to pick up his daughter softly, asking if she enjoyed her grand adventure at the palace. "It was amazing, Daddy," she beams, "but it would have been 10 times better if you could have been there with me." Alistair's heart completely melts. He strokes her hair and tells her to rest her eyes for the long carriage ride home. Snuggling into his arms, she whispers about meeting the Queen's sister. "She's so elegant, but I think her leg is hurt." She wonders if Claudia could heal her with magic. Before she knows it, her eyes flutter shut and she's fast asleep. The second Louise steps through the door, Karina and Carl tackle her with the most enthusiastic welcome home hugs ever. After gushing about how much they missed her, Louise notices their fresh drip. Karina explains these are exotic clothes from Giant. Their father brought these treasures back from the East, and they've even saved a special outfit just for Louise. Louise beams while taking the new clothes. After the maid's meticulous styling, she finally steps out. Looking stunning in royal garments and gold hairpins, she leaves everyone speechless. She feels quite shy. It is her first time wearing ribbons instead of buttons. Count Adrian calls her a beautiful fairy. After chatting, he pulls Alistair into the study for business. As they walk away together, Louise admires their strong bond. The twins agree, knowing Dad has always served his grace faithfully. Overflowing with pride, they rush forward and hug Louise tightly. "We will always stay by your side." Inside the office, Count Adrian asks Alistair when the wedding with the dame will happen. He calmly says soon. When asked if Louise approved, Alistair simply points his finger. At the family portrait, the Count understands and feels happy to see Alistair's genuine smile again. Alistair smirks while thanking him, but Adrian gets a bad vibe. Why the sudden thanks? "You are scaring me. You aren't sending me abroad again, right, Alistair?" Just smiles and nods. Adrian's frantic protests of betrayal immediately fill the office with pure chaos. Time flies. It is finally Alistair and the dame's wedding. Louise and Eric are flower children. Now they are finally a family of 4. The ceremony stays quite small and intimate. With very few guests, the vibe is simple yet warm. Louise understands the quiet atmosphere. It is just a marriage of convenience. Dad still loves Mom, so it is kept low-key. While getting some fresh air, she meets Idris. He arrived at the party representing the Queen. It is strange. Since Louise met Her Majesty, Idris is no longer. Despite his earlier hesitation, he gently clasps Louise's hand, his eyes filled with genuine concern for her well-being. He fears the Emperor's remarriage still haunts her, but Louise simply offers a reassuring smile, insisting she's totally fine. Truthfully, joy radiates within her, though the complexity is hard to explain. Suddenly, Idris pulls her into an unexpected embrace. Startled and blushing furiously, Louise stammers out a question. Idris softly whispers that this is his way of saying thanks. He thanks her for her previous comfort, wishing her every happiness. Louise beams, nodding with a heart full of gratitude. That night, Leah graces Louise's dreams with a radiant smile, noting how many kind souls her daughter has finally found. With tears blurring her vision, Louise dives into her mother's arms, eagerly recounting every amazing person she's met lately. She confesses the crushing sadness is finally fading. Hearing this, Leah finds peace and tenderly brushes away her daughter's tears. "My darling, please be happy," Leah whispers. Suddenly, Louise jolts awake, her breath coming in sharp, frantic gasps. Alistair rushes to her side, panic etched on his face as he asks what's wrong. Louise meets his gaze through watery eyes. Seeing her like this shatters Alistair's heart. He frantically presses for answers while his mind spirals into a dark place. He secretly dreads she'll never accept his remarriage, even contemplating a divorce right then and there just for her sake. Sniffling, Louise reveals she saw her mother smiling in a dream. Her expression is a bittersweet mix of longing and relief. Alistair's eyes glisten as he offers a shaky, supportive smile. "That's beautiful," he whispers, gently soothing her back to sleep. Once she drifts off, Alistair gazes longingly out the window, wishing Leah would grace his dreams with her presence too. He'd trade everything for just one more glimpse of her. Fast forward a few days and the mythical egg finally cracks. A tiny, fluffy bird resembling a snowball hatches. Louise instantly names the adorable little creature Snowball. The hatchling chirps in total agreement with its new name. Cradling the creature, Louise greets her new companion with pure joy. "I hope we can be the best of friends,"